The Only Gamer Thursdays, and we're going to be talking about 40k. I'm joined by Nick in the studio.
Hello.
And I'm joined by Tom via the airwaves.
Now with more internet, I can actually hear you guys this week. It's great.
That's good. We can't promise that we're going to have internet, so we'll see how that pans out in but a moment. So hello everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Thursday night. It's Thursday night, and it's 40k night. Oh no, drama.
That's all we have here, dude.
Yeah, and we're very excited. I'm very excited to be here, mainly because I'm fed up of talking about Space Marines, so we finally get to talk about something else. Unfortunately, it's Eldar, which is a nightmare.
Everyone loves Eldar, dude. What's wrong with you?
Disagree.
Everyone loves to hate Eldar.
Yes, and also...
No, just you.
No, I also love to hate Eldar. Twitch chat, and also anyone watching live, please let us know. I want to say a big shout out to everyone listening to the podcast. Hope you guys are well. Just hope you're feeling well. So you're feeling well. And anyone who's watching on Twitch, thank you for subscribing and being here. Love you loads. If you're watching on other platforms, you guys are also great, but I just want you to know that the Twitch guys, because they chat to us. So.
If you're watching us live from the studio, hello as well.
Yeah, well, hello to the crowd. Yeah, just if you keep it down, please, that would be really good. And then finally, of course, thank you to everyone on Patreon. You guys are rad. And thank you for supporting the show and effectively being the reason we're able to make the show. So big love. Right.
Big love.
Let's get into the mix. Before we go any further, Tom, 40k, and you, how have you been for the past week?
I've been all right, dude. I've been doing a lot of painting and kind of modeling at the minute, just because I've got my Phoenix Rising book.
You are an award-winning hobbyist.
I am an award-winning hobbyist. So I've got my Phoenix Rising book. It's just over here, and I've been building an army for the North Wales Open.
Thanks for showing us. Had you not shown us, I thought you would have been lying.
Yeah, I know. I buy my books, dude. So I'm going to the North Wales Open this weekend, and I'm taking a new Eldar army.
So are they allowing the new book already?
They are allowing the new book because it was the weekend of the rules deadline. So I'm able to bring that. I've got a lot of combos, which I'm going to be talking about later, that I'm going to be testing out. I've also got 3 Eldar planes just over there.
Hold on.
I'm going to be
Can I
with.
ask a question? Number one, are they red? Number one, are they Exarchs? And do they hunt crimsons?
So they're Exarchs. They do hunt crimsons, but they're blue.
Ooh, shocking.
They're not going to go as fast then, are they?
They're not going to go as fast. Is that science?
They don't go as fast. Although there is a trait in the custom detachments for Eldar that does make you go faster. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later. I'll be running that with North Wales.
Did you say Eldar planes going faster?
Well, so a little bit of a teaser. One of the custom traits you can get for your Eldar detachment is if you have a fly keyword, if you advance, you can go an extra 2 inches. So a massive difference to planes.
Yeah.
But it does make you go faster. Or you can take a Crimson Hunter Exarch trait, which allows.
Well, let's talk about later. So what you're basically at now at the minute is you're excited about the new Eldar book.
I'm very excited about the new Eldar book. I think it could be really, really strong. If it wasn't for Marines, it'd be broken. But as Marines are also a thing, I think they're both kind of on a similar level.
Oh, okay. Interesting. We can get into that conversation later. Nick, 40k and you this week. How have you been? Before that, though, before the answer, I'd just like to say hello to everyone in the chat, because I can see that Budtastic Guy's here. He says, I've only been playing 40k for 4 months, and I already know I should hate Eldar. Fulgrima asks if it's party night. It is. It's our 2nd birthday.
Yeah.
So we're wearing our party hats. Party in it.
This is the best I have. Who's? Wait a minute. Who's snorting something?
Nick has a party popper. Ready?
Oh, there you
go.
So happy birthday to us. Thank you to everyone for supporting us for the past 2 years. It's been amazing. We're only going to get things are going to get better. Anyway, I want to say hi to Viking DX and C Farsight. Groovy Greg, what's up? Alan Joel says, my Phoenix is risen, if you know what I mean. Hashtag awkward.
I don't know what he means. I'm 12.
Yeah, and someone asked, why does Tom look like a kid from a Recess cartoon?
It's true.
I've been asking that for 2 years.
I just dig holes, mate. That's all I do.
That's it. Diadrin, hello. Groovy Greg, Scrunty Hugh. Nice early 90s too. Yeah, I'm growing my hair, so I currently look atrocious.
It's got a bit of a weird parting down the middle.
Yeah, man, I look fantastic.
You look like you come from Busted, dude.
Busted, great song. Year 3000. Hi to Sinise, and Alan Joel says PR adds a bit more tech to Eldari and more. He's reviewing it for us in the chat. Thanks, Alan Joel. And Groovy Greg, happy birthday. Thanks very much. That's very nice.
Thanks, man.
So Nick, 40k new this week. Nikos, what have you been up to? Because I imagine pretty calm and easy week.
The weekend we had the 40k team tournament, and we had a bit of a good time
at the Warhammer
World Games Workshop official.
Why did you go?
40,000 team tournament.
Why did you go? Was there loads of space?
What spaces in lots of tickets spare, or
no, it was in lots of room.
In the whole. They actually made a bit more effort this year. There was a bit more space, so we weren't just crammed in like we were a little bit last year.
Did they go for that situation where they were? Datcom, thanks for subscribing for 21 months. Woo! Podcast guys, just like fuck off. I've never listened again. I apologise.
Not just podcast guys.
Yeah, just everyone.
Anyone with earphones in, just experiencing this hell.
Just having the worst time. Right, so Nick, there were some issues.
There was an issue. Like overall, the team tournament was really, really good. Like we enjoyed all of our games. Well, apart from one.
I need to hear about that one too.
So up until the fourth round, we had a fantastic time. But then something happened before round 5 began, which kind of didn't ruin the tournament for us, but it just left us going away with a bit of a sour taste in our mouth about our whole experience.
So what's the situation?
So basically, we were going into round 5. We were at the top of the leaderboard, so we'd won most games. We accumulated the most points at that point. So we knew going into round 5 that we were in with a good chance of winning because we'd won all of our rounds up to that point.
Based on gaming points, anyway.
Based on gaming points, yeah, exactly. So based on gaming points, we were at the top going into round 5. So we're all super excited about that, and obviously a little bit nervous as well. And then we got back into the hall after lunch, and the head event staff for that weekend came up to me and said that to pair us against a team that we hadn't yet played, they would have to pair us against the current 6th place team, because we'd already played the teams that were currently in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So they said to do that, they'd have to pair us against 6, and they said to us, and this isn't me paraphrasing, they said you would automatically win the event if we did that. So they wanted to pair us up against the current 2nd place team in order to, and again I'm quoting them, uphold the integrity of the event. Still to this day, not quite sure what he means by that. And they said something like, because there's a small player pool, there was a big difference in points. They felt that it'd be better for the event if we played the 2nd place team again. I'm not sure they meant that would make the event, the conclusion of the event more unknown to the spectators, or not that there were any, or the people playing involved, so that the result would be more mysterious up until the final round had finished. Because apparently we would have automatically won the event had we played 6th place. Initially, I was like, okay, whatever, it's your event. You make whatever decision you feel is best. And I went back to my team and let them know. My team weren't particularly okay with that decision. The team that we were going to be paired against as well weren't happy with that decision either. And then there was also another team involved in the mix as well. They weren't happy for that to happen either. So after about 15 or so minutes of heated debate and discussion and standing around not knowing what the hell was going on, the organisers later reversed that decision. So we did end up playing. Did
they go away and talk to someone else about it, or?
Yeah, so another one of the event staff was playing in the event. So I think they was talking to them and talking to team captains and lots of different people. So they later reversed the decision. So we played the team in 6th, and we ended up losing every single game in that round. So I do feel like
so. Not only did they really mess around with the rounds, they super called the matchup really badly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Nice to know that not only the decision was bad, it was based on terrible decisions anyway. But okay, please continue.
Yeah. So obviously we don't know whether had that not happened, we just gone straight to play Team 6th. We could have absolutely still lost every single one of those games.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because they were a good team and had good players and good armies. So. But what would have been nice is just to not have that stress beforehand, because it can't have not affected the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Because all of us made mistakes in that game. All of us played really badly, And either that would have happened anyway, or the thing that the organisers, their decision, definitely affected us, either in a tiny way or in a big way.
Yeah.
And we felt after that was like, initially I was okay with it. I was just heading the game. I was like, that's their decision. Let's just get on with it. But like after we left the event and the day after, I just felt more and more frustrated with that decision, because I've never ever been to a Warhammer tournament where that has happened.
Me either.
Or heard of that happening, and it just felt really unfair.
Right, so one of the key elements, I think maybe some context that's worth talking about, is you guys were running 3 Iron Hands armies.
We were, yeah.
Yeah.
So a stress-free weekend was at the top of their list. They just took the easiest to play armies. Kappa.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Well, it was a competitive event. We took the
Oh, yeah,
best
I don't
armies
blame you for
available
doing
to
it
us.
at all.
no, not
Yeah,
at all.
like,
But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to work out why they would make any of those decisions. And my thought process is, when they say integrity, right? Like we want to protect the integrity of the event. Effectively, what I assume that they're talking about, like if we can assume it at all, would be something to do with the fact that Iron Hands were playing, and to watch like a triple Iron Hands out of 3 armies just like stomp all over every other army. Would have made them seem bad, or maybe the game seem bad. Maybe they think, and this is not rude because I know you've attended, maybe they think the rest of the world cares what happens at events, like they're at game events, which the answer would be no.
Yeah.
For 40k, even less so, like Age of Sigmar more so than 40k. For 40k, literally no one in the competitive scene, as I understand it, Tom, and as I understand it, Nick, cares who actually wins that team event in any way, shape or form. So I don't know what they're trying to integrity.
Probably
they're trying to
not, but let's assume that was their thought process. That's wholly unfair on us, because really the only people who care about winning the event are the people at the event.
Yes.
So if that was their line of thinking, they cared more about what other people thought about the event than what the customers there who paid them to be there
thought about the event. Generally just handled really badly. It could have just been like maybe it was a new member of staff being the event manager. Like people like that can make really poor decisions. But it does seem super odd. And one of the other really important points to note is that the events team was taken over by the marketing department 6 to 8 months ago. So you probably are seeing some decisions being made. Like it makes sense, right? They're in the marketing department, so their thought processes of what goes out are going to be a part of that. I'm really sorry, bro. That's lame. That's really lame.
It was lame. We couldn't help but feel really down and dejected afterwards, because all we wanted was a fair crack at the event, and we felt like we had that up until round 4. But then the organisers sticking their noses into the pairings and messing around and causing all that commotion did affect us, and it felt like it didn't feel fair on us.
Just to add a bit of context, by the way. Oh, sorry, Nicholas, you carry on.
I was just saying it didn't feel fair, and although other people were obviously affected by it as well, all the teams involved had the same sort of effect, because of that commotion. It wasn't just us as well; it was the team that we were going to be paired against and the other team captains involved as well. But I think we felt a little bit more targeted by it, because it was us who were in the tournament winning position, and none of us. I've won trophies at events before, but for hobby and sportsmanship. And I've never won a gaming prize. None of us have. So we were all super excited, and it felt like we felt like we had one hand on the trophy, and it was unfairly
snatched.
It was an additional hurdle they put up to us specifically. It felt very
bad taste. Yeah. Tom, what do you think?
Can I just ask a couple of questions? Because I'm not going to bash on you at all. I'm just trying to work something out and kind of play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah.
So the first point I want to make is that I actually have been to a couple of events that have done this, but it isn't common. So the first example I can think of is Dark Millennium back in February, where Innes Wilson played Eric Hoger in both round 5 and round 6. So it is a thing. It's just not common.
Why did they make those two play twice?
Because the field was so small that it ended up being a case where you could have won the event by the end of round 5, and therefore there just wouldn't be any point in playing round 6, I guess. I don't know. You have to ask for TOs.
Okay.
I haven't checked that one. The second point I'd like to, well, it's more a question. It's not really a point, because I totally get your point of view on this. Is once that's happened, as you say, all the teams around the top were similarly affected by it. So is it not then still in your control whether or not you win the event by how you play in the last round? I get that you've got the negative impact of you've just been shaken up a little bit and all that kind of stuff, but isn't that the same for every team?
Yes, yeah. But absolutely, I totally agree with that, and that's also what I said. It was just so
I know.
The complaint
that
that we had afterwards wasn't that wow, we didn't win the event. That wasn't what we were salty about. Obviously, we were disappointed not to. It was just, we paid a lot of money to go to a local tournament because
it's the most expensive tournament you can go to.
Yeah, and we paid a lot of money to go to our local tournament at our local gaming venue with 4 of your best mates. And it can mean a lot to people, and we felt unfairly messed with. Yeah.
Well, I've said this time and time again. I think I think the events at Games Workshop are the worst events you can attend. That's a clear and present statement, and I mean that as sweetly as I can, because but I think for the money that you pay, every other independent event is better for cheaper. The only advantage that you have going to those events is that they're in Warhammer World, which is a great venue. Yeah, there's all the models, there's Bugburns, it's pretty rad. Like, we all love going there. Don't get me wrong, but I think as event organisers, they're pretty bad, truth be told. I'd like to see that improve. I really hope it does. Constructive feedback. There are great TOs all around the world. Hugtan, thanks for subscribing. He says, hi, I all love the show and are now planning to join the Flying Longboat fleet. Nice. So yeah, for me personally, I know for a fact that I know that they've announced the new Age of Sigmar events next year. I have no interest in attending. I definitely have no interest.
What have they changed about them?
They've changed the soft scores, so that would have been in effect at the team event. So team event, you have favorite army votes and you have favorite game votes.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense, right? It should just be based off soft score, not soft scores, just gaming scores. And they have now changed that for the Age of Sigmar event. The Age of Sigmar event now has got no soft scores, which affect. But it's only going to be the top 5 people at the event go through.
Oh wow, okay.
And then they're going to have like an elite tournament at the end between like 15 or so people. So they have changed it as a process, but I don't.
How does that work? Surely that should just be the 5-0 and the 4-1 bracket, because otherwise it'll just come down to like who can fraud their secondaries the hardest.
Who knows? Who knows what their process is? But that's definitely for the Age of Sigmar one. 40k one, I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure they're going to follow suit because they're going to make it more pure gaming orientated. Issue is,
and I'd be okay with that because we got 0 favourite game votes.
Oh, did you? Well, you were playing 3 Iron Hands.
We were playing 3 Iron Hands.
What were you expecting? I mean, you're all great guys. Yeah.
I'm more impressed that you somehow managed to get 3 favourite army votes with just armies sprayed black.
Yeah.
No, I always paint it really nicely.
Well, how can you paint Iron Hands nicely?
Because my Iron Hands are just my Marines that just float between chapters. And James and Andy also have a rather generic colour scheme for their Marines.
I mean, Marines
makes more sense.
Marines are great as a base level army, and then super hard to upgrade to really impressive, in my opinion. Like that's like maybe decals, maybe is the way to.
Yeah. I like a lot of weathering on Marines. Marines with weathering.
So like more heresy style looking.
Yeah,
over the kind of Marvel-esque image that the Games Workshop do. Yeah,
the best Marines, like some of the best Marines I've seen, and I saw some at the event where they were Imperial Fist, so like nice and bright color scheme. That draws your eyes.
Hard to do too.
Highlighted well, but then also really, really nice weathering on there as well. That just adds to the realism and griminess of it.
The griminess of 40k.
He does like the griminess.
Finished. Home Minister says I finished 12th ahead of Nikos. Go soft scores. Because we suck at playing LOL. So I've had my 10 cents about the events. We've talked about them like a ton of times now over the past 2 years. Yeah. I feel like, and what I feel like has definitely happened is it hasn't improved in any way. I can't think of an improvement that's been made, with the exception of potentially the bringing in of the ITC Magic Box rule. But then still, I'm not 100% certain I love the Magic Box rule either.
I don't necessarily like the Magic Box rule, but I do think the terrain has got a little bit better.
Okay.
The terrain was okay this weekend. There was probably at most 2 line of sight blocking things on the table, but it was a bit varied. And sometimes the line of sight blocking thing is just like a small a small building, so you can't hide much behind it, really. But it was okay.
Okay, so it's the ruins rule, not the magic box rule. So symbol in the chat.
Yes, and that wasn't in effect this weekend.
It wasn't.
No.
So it was for one event, but then not for their next
I think
event.
they said that it's for their GT events, so the singles, but they hadn't written it into their pack for the team event.
Well, apparently it doesn't matter what's written in the pack. So
Yeah, 'cause they changed it.
They just changed
Again,
it.
I can't encourage people enough. Like, so the event you're at this weekend is Tom.
I'm at the North Wales Open.
North Wales Open.
It's in Wrexham.
Yes, go to that. If you follow that guy, go to those events. Go to anything run by Ace, the Hellstorm guys. They run a good event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, follow those guys. Go to some good 40k tournaments. Like, I'm not being rude, just being honest. That's going to be, I think, the new catchphrase, by the way, of the show. We'll hand
rude.
cards out. We're not being rude. We're just being honest. So how did the Iron Hands armies generally do over the weekend? Because this was pre the FAQ. Did they crush?
Well, up until round 5, we did really well. So up until round 5, we'd only lost 2 games out of the 16.
Yeah.
And then obviously lost all of them in last round. James and Andy went 4-1. So Andy had like a double executioner list with a Derridio and a couple of Redemptors, and then James had a double Leviathan list with 2 Las Cannon Mortis Dreads sat behind it as well.
Oh.
And I had a weird Thunderfire Cannon ×2, a Scorpius, and then some Grav Cannon Devastator Squads and Drop Pods list, which caught some people out, and I fucking loved it. The Scorpius I wasn't a massive fan of after the event. Thunderfire Cannons were brilliant.
Yes.
They never do anything amazing, the Thunderfire Cannons.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll do a little bit poorly, like they don't roll that many shots, but they're just a steady, brilliant thing. They just sit at the back, hiding, and just plinking away. They're just really, really good. But
sorry.
No, go for it, man.
I was just going to say, with Seal of Oath, they can be filthy. Just straight remove something from the board. It's great.
Yeah.
But generally quite good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But my Devastator drop pods with the Gravs were fucking amazing.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because that just seems like Gravs are just so much better now.
Really, really good. At one point, so one of my games I played Custodes, and I shot 1 unit of 5. So it's got 4 Grav cannons in. Or sort of 1 unit at a Caladius Grav tank. I used the Grav stratagem, and I used the Mercy is weak stratagem. So that's where every time you roll a wound of a 6, it multiplies to 2. And after he'd passed some invulnerable saves, I did 12 d3 damage to 1. So even with that, even if I rolled minimum damage on all 12 dice, which I could have re-rolled, by the way, it would have been dead anyway.
Wow.
So it was just but then I used it again later, and I did very little. So it can be quite swingy, but on average, it's really, really good.
Nice.
Is it like a Marine shock attack gun?
I'd say it's more reliable than that.
Right.
But every now and then it could just explode and go crazy.
Interesting. So overall, good weekend with the exception of the sad note at the end.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
But some good news after it. Like I had a bit of a mardy about it. I went onto Twitter and posted how mardy I was about it.
Yeah, good. As people should do.
Yeah. And then I sent like a letter to Games Workshop, which wasn't an angry letter. I just said we're really disappointed with how this was handled. Blah blah blah. And thanks to Games Workshop, so they responded really well to that and apologised and said yes, our event team messed up. Sorry, that was handled that way. And as a kind gesture, they gave us a free ticket to the next team event. So that was really good of them.
That's really, really good.
Thank you.
That's a great piece of customer service. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you would expect them to not have to, like, I'm sure they're going to be kicking themselves about that publicity as well. Like, no one wants bad publicity like that, especially the events. I think that they're in a very safe space as event organisers. They're always going to be able to put on events and people are always going to want to attend because it's
because of the venue.
Because of the venue, absolutely. But also just because it's run by Games Workshop. Whenever it's something run by them, you feel like, oh, that's cool, right? You feel like you're in the mix. But truth be told, in my opinion, and this is living right next to it, I think it's the worst place you can play Warhammer. Arkian, thank you for subscribing for 23 months. Not the worst place, but not great. How's
not
that
great.
sound?
And I think
Hi, Arkian.
Horrific places.
I think it would be absolutely fine if they just had proper battle mats like everybody else does now, and like the terrain's fine, but just a little bit more for tournaments.
Yeah, agreed.
And chuck all the Roll Battle boards and the fucking Sylvaneth Wildwoods in the sea, and then replace them with battle
Get them in the sea.
Get them in the sea.
In the sea.
Yeah, there we go.
Good choice.
Wow. Okay. All right. Good. Okay.
But not in the sea because we're environmentally.
Yeah, we are
in the
environmentally friendly.
metaphorical.
Are you planning on going to
sea.
more team events? Do you like team events?
I fucking love team events.
Team events are the best version of Warhammer.
Team
in the
events
world.
are the best version of Warhammer.
True.
I think.
Okay, so that's a three-way. Twitch chat, I'd be interested in what your thoughts are on the event and on that feedback. If you've had similar experiences, or podcast listeners, if you've got any similar experiences, I'd like to hear about it. I, for one, have never had any issues with any of the TOs there. I find the environment poor. But everyone make your own decision. That's just my review. I want it to be great because it's down the road.
Exactly.
I couldn't want it to be great more.
Yeah.
And .com says, I wish it wasn't so noisy and there was more space between tables.
Yeah, they just need to put some sound dampeners in.
Yes.
Apparently, if you just put some cushions in the corner, it absorbs the sound bouncing around.
Well,
they've got like the
maybe
castle,
if you also didn't have pieces of plastic that people are throwing ivory dice or whatever they are, at them,
exactly, all that.
like bum 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 bum. You have to the volume of that is that you have to talk over.
Yeah,
it's actually quite impressive.
I've in my dice box, I've got a massive dice and then really tiny dice. Sometimes if I'm at Warhammer World, I roll the first turn dice with my massive dice, and I just throw it down on purpose.
That's not the worst way you can roll a C's.
Yeah.
I think next team event I'm gonna use V's. Now, for those that don't know, this is one of the Idenif dice from Warhammer World, and they're see-through. Look at that.
I like this see-through though for a fish eye.
I've got 20 of these. Look at that.
Are you going to use them at a Warhammer World event?
Why do you have?
Baby.
Because he's like a top-level troll. He just wants to troll people.
Well, so people can't read my dice. Yep, that's a 6.
Well,
do you mean cheat? Are you advocating cheating, Tom?
I think the next level.
At least
Tom,
I'm honest about it.
The next level of dice rolling trolling is what Chris from Dwellers Below was doing.
Yeah.
So he was rolling a scenery dice from Age of Sigmar.
He was.
And then referring to the table, which has 1 to 6.
Yeah.
So deadly, that's a 4.
That was genuinely one of the most upsetting experiences of my life. Sinise says they should legit hire a casino consultant. Sinise, they should legit hire a bunch of different consultants. Herbalista, I have never worried about the terrain at One World since I played Pure Knights, but that was their last outing. The Lancer exploded in the last round of the last game to win me the game, and now the army is in the works to join the meta for the GT final. Oh, wait, he's doing Sons of the Phoenix for the GT final in January, where I can discover what happens in the psychic morale and terrain rule sections. He's just, Herbalista is like, do you know what? I've really enjoyed playing just the movement and shooting and combat phase. Excited to try the other phases out. It's going to be fun. Colonel Cabbage, Tom rocks up to an event. Sorry, guys. All I have is Nathan Squig dice. But these are official products.
True.
Okay. All right. Well, super sad about that. Nice talking about it. Great work on Games Workshop's part, sending you a free ticket. That's a real big step, and I think that's conclusively cool. Mm-hmm. And I think.
Yeah. Can I just give two of the teams that we played, 2 of their captains said they were fans of the show, so I just want to give them a shout out. So shout out to John. I think it's John Partridge from
John
Kingsington Cultists.
I played him in the last round of LGT last year. He was the England coach a couple of years ago for the 40k ETC. He was one of those guys. He's a good guy. He used to play a lot of MTG.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. And then we also so the captain of Just Dice for All, who ended up second, I think they were.
Yep.
And I did write everyone's name down, and I forgot the thing. But I think his name was Dan. So
what, they won?
Apologies if I got that wrong. Sorry?
Who won?
Oh, Daka.
Daka. Congratulations, that team. Great name, team name.
Yeah.
And were they in 6th place?
No, they were second.
They were the second
they
team.
Finished first.
Did you end up actually playing the 6th team eventually?
Yes,
6th place team.
did, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. But you beat the Daka guys.
We did.
Yeah.
Round. We beat the teams at podiums, which.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's how
it
works in a weird way. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
But just the one bad game that our team had, I just want to make a quick point on that.
Yeah.
So, the last team we played, Brett's mega team.
Yeah.
3 of them were fantastic. They got the Dan that I played was fantastic. Brett had a really good week with James, and then Paul played John, who was really good. But Andy had a bit of a bad game against one of their players, Dan, and Dan came up to me walked past our table in the last game, and he said to me that he was a dick on purpose in their game because we had 3 Iron Hands lists. No, I don't think that's particularly okay to be a bad sport on purpose.
What's also important is he noted his behaviour.
Yeah,
he was like, I was a dick.
I was a dick on purpose.
Yeah, so then his reasoning for that is not like, again, like this is just such a silly thing. Like lists and armies being overpowered has got nothing to do with the players and everything to do with Games Workshop. The idea
it's a tournament, you fucking tit.
Yeah, the idea that we manage ourselves is a misnomer and absolutely moronic. The concept that you go to a tournament with an army that's weaker for no reason. Like you're like, I just didn't want to make people. I still want to win too much. So I thought.
Did you drop a complaint in there?
You should have. You should have dropped a complaint about him as well.
Probably.
Also, this guy's a butthole.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, sad face.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely would.
Yeah, you would, Tom.
Yeah, drop a complaint in there, 100%.
Yeah, to their team website.
But everybody else we played was fantastic, so thank you.
Well, just like mention it.
There was a Spanish team there who I had a brilliant game against. I think it was Jose.
Jose?
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho?
Jose Mourinho was there. Playing
Wow.
Custodes. That was, we had a fantastic game.
What were the armies painted like?
All of his custodes are special ones.
They were good.
I generally tend to find that the foreign players who travel over to Warhammer World generally have really great armies. I don't know if you disagree or agree. Tom, you disagree?
Yeah, because I mean, you've put so much effort into your hobby, you're going to put that same amount of effort into your painting, right? Like, if you're willing to travel that far to like enjoy your hobby, you'll put maximum effort in it at home too. I don't know if I necessarily found that though. Mainly because I go to the ETC and all our armies are fucking abominations.
They are crimes against humanity, and
True.
mainly Warhammer.
Well, I mean, a lot of the teams do put a lot of effort in, like France, for example. Their armies look really, really nice. Spain as well. But, yeah, most of our armies just look awful.
What about Russia's?
I can't remember Russia's. I have played quite a lot of Russians, and I've never thought their armies look particularly bad. They look fine to me.
So you didn't think that they were rushing the painting?
No, they weren't rushing well, they might have been. They were using airbrushes, so...
Never mind. You don't think they were putting in the effort?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Nailed it. That was good. All right, cool. Well, apologies about that, Nick. Let's move on, shall we?
Yes.
So that's some news. That's your news from this week. Congratulations. But you're excited to do more team tournaments in James Workshop?
Yes, James Workshop with a vengeance. We will be back at the next Games Workshop.
That's what you should call the name of your army.
And then we're also attending the Hellstorm team event that is happening in...
When is the Hellstorm team event?
I think it's May.
I need to sort out my team for that. Again.
Okay. All right. So, cool. Good news. Good news had by all. Tom, should we start talking?
Do we have to?
Eldari.
Do we have to talk about Eldar?
We do have to, because he's very excited. Like, none of us want to know about it. And I need to know if we need to embrace our new Eldari overlords.
Probably.
True.
We've only just got out of their grip.
Yeah, we only just got out of their grip. They released Space Marines and we were like, this is probably quite strong. But do you know what? At least they've made Eldar fuck off. Yeah, and now we need to see if that's the case. So, Tom.
Right.
Phoenix Rising. Quick TLDR. How strong?
9.
Wow. Okay, good. Archeon says, I've stopped my Iron Hand list and it's a bit OP at ATM and the hate. Yeah. That's the other problem as well. So a 9.
Right, I'm going to turn it backwards just so we know it's my time to shine.
Okay. Tom's real serious at this stage.
All right.
So what's in the book?
All the rules in here, and I've condensed them into 6 pages of bullet points to tell you what's good and what's actually worth talking about. Because a lot of the rules in here aren't actually that useful because there's a lot of it's based on a choice between a certain number of rules. But a lot of it does heavily influence quite a few Eldar units.
Okay.
Some ones that you may not have seen before, some that you may still be seeing already, and they're just better, and some that you might not have seen in quite a few months.
Perfect. All right. So, but hold on. Sorry, but before we get into the rules, obviously, just quick recap on all the narrative that's in there.
I didn't read it.
Why not,
Apparently,
Tom?
there's some narrative. I did subscribe to R40k lore, but it was all just complaining about each other. So I unsubbed pretty quickly. And
racist.
People don't like lore. Yeah, that was pretty much what all the discussion was about. And I'm like, this isn't 40k lore. So it's just like, I came here for lore, and it's not delivering. So that's disappointing. So I left there, so I didn't read the lore. I'm going to be totally honest. Although I did see a lot of complaining about it.
So you
we
don't.
have got a couple
Some people don't like the narrative. Should we
Some
just
people don't.
just
I
decide
don't
what it's
know
about
about it.
without having read it? All three of us. Phoenix Rising.
There are no Phoenixes rising, by the way.
Are there any Phoenixes? Phoenix Lords?
There are 2 Phoenix Lords, but neither of them doing much rising. Look, so there's a bit about the fates of the craft worlds. I might have to read that bit. Here's a picture of a Crimson Hunter. That's what we like to see.
I disagree.
Lovely.
Disagree.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
We've got some racks in there. It's also foreshadowing. Some Harlequins. That's definitely not foreshadowing. We've got the Young Khan in here, and it says hope and despair entwine. It's just despair, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay, so effectively, it's the end of the Eldar race in the narrative, and they've given some final rules before they discontinue the line. Is that correct?
Yes, but when they discontinue it, they just leave Eldar with these current rules, and they never change them. How do you feel about that? If Eldar were to stop getting rules now, so they
As
never
long
get
as everyone else gets better rules afterwards,
Yeah.
then I'm
exactly,
fine with
so
that.
there it is.
There we go.
Banana.
Okay, all right. Well, Hydra just said, "Tom, look at this Crimson Hunter," and points at a hemlock.
Oh my God, it's a plane.
Okay, so we're not sure on the narrative ATM. Fine. All right, so let's move into the crunch, as some people call it.
The meat.
That's what some
Oh,
people
yes.
call it, the crunch.
Crunch.
So it's not a new Eldar Codex, though, is it?
No, so it's basically supplementary rules for Eldar. And what I was thinking was, oh look, more rules, more books to carry around. But the more I think about it, when I was writing my list, I didn't have Battlescribe because a lot of the points have changed and Battlescribe hadn't updated it yet. So I'd been to see some shit football match. I'd gone down to my local GW, I'd bought myself a book, and then I sat down for 4 or 5 hours and I wrote a list on Microsoft Word, and it was glorious. It was like writing up a new D&D data sheet. So I had a lot of fun doing it.
It's kind of. I was talking to someone the other day about Battlescribe because someone has done this really cool thing called AOS Reminders, which is kind of like Battlescribe. Only imagine everything Battlescribe kicks out is written phase by phase. So every phase you would just be check. Oh, movement phase. Best check. Make sure I've not missed anything. Right. So really, really cool, like little system. So basically, take any list you write, you just dump it in there, and it kicks out like literally a phase by phase reminder of stuff that you can remember. A little bit more complicated, obviously, for 40k, because obviously you could put stratagems in those phases. But really, really great. And someone was asking me about it, and they were like, maybe that'll get taken down. I was like, they haven't taken down Battlescribe. And then I thought about it, no, you probably couldn't actually have a 40k environment. Like, you couldn't have a gaming system without Battlescribe. So
No, not until they've at least got a
supplement. So yeah, Battlescribe's just fab. Again, one more shout out to Battlescribe being fab.
Yeah.
I think we do this every...
I did enjoy just sitting down with a bunch of books and looking at all the rules and just flicking between things and just creating my own custom list. That was kind of cool.
Was it really fun? Did you feel a bit old school?
I did feel a bit old school because I play a lot of D&D now. I've got back into it, and I was really enjoying just, getting straight. I'm just going to push my camera a little bit to the side, getting a little bit like down and dirty with my books, and it was kind of cool. Kind of enjoyed it.
All right, great. Okay, good. All right, so let's go through these bullet points then.
Right, so we're going to start from the top. So,
by the way, but before we get into it, is there any like comparable publication that we can compare it to? Like, is there anything?
Vigilus Rising. I was going to say that. I feel like this is their version of Vigilus Rising, and do you reckon at some point Eldar are going to get a new book incorporating these things?
It's difficult to describe that because Vigilus was basically just formations and a couple of units. So it does have a couple of units. The difference is it doesn't have formations. Instead, it has different ways to create detachments and it allows you to basically customize the special rules on your existing units.
So it's got a lot of things that are like pay 1 CP for this kind of thing.
Yeah. So it does have some strategies
like
for Yannari. So
successors.
if I was to call it anything, I'd probably call it the Yannari Codex with a few updates for the other Eldar books. So it allows you to create a custom craft world or a custom like Witch Cult or something like that, like Space Marines can do with their custom successor chapters. Exactly.
Witch Cult?
Yeah. So I was really enjoying kind of that kind of aspect. I wouldn't say it's like Vigilus. It's kind of its own unique thing, but it's probably the closest that you'll get.
I want to say a big shout out to Warp Spider for a subscriber for 3 months. Thanks very much. And he says 9th edition is coming. That's what he thinks.
The end is nigh.
9th edition, Tom. You excited?
No, I like these rules. It's broken.
So there is one rule in there that made me suspicious that maybe they're planning for 9th edition.
Tell me what
I
it
know
is.
there
I
was
like
one
suspicion.
rule where It's a psychic power where you get. So you cast a psychic power, and it says you get +2 to deny the witch
I
test
was going to
until
go.
the
I
end
was going to go
of
for
the
that later,
phase.
Nikos. I've
Yeah.
got that written down for that later, Nikos.
Right? Yeah.
So
So,
we'll read it out to Rob later, and we'll see what he thinks.
okay. But like I was just saying, that rule
Yeah.
Yeah.
that rule would work if it was alternate activation and you had a shared psychic phase, because it would make sense that you'd cast that spell and get +2 to deny the witch test until the end of the phase if your opponent was also casting spells in that phase.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So just some suspicion there.
Dr. Rossmore, I know you're in the chat. Get in it!
Quickly make a video.
Quick!
Give us credit. It was fine. Right. So, starting at the top. So if you want to follow along at home, you can go straight to the page. It says Jane Czar on it. I'm not sure what page number it is.
Yeah,
Find
me
out
and Nick will
yourself.
get our copies of the book out.
Yeah.
Might buy it to burn.
Telopolis in the chat.
36.
Sorry,
Are you
hold,
ready?
hold on. Telopolis in the chat says, sorry for how everything played out of the weekend,
Simon.
Nick. I felt really bad for you guys and how Games Workshop handled
Cheers,
it.
man.
Really enjoyed our game. There you go. That's lovely. Sorry. What a nice chat.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Jane Czar. So she's changed quite a bit. She is now 115 points, so that's either the same cost that she was before or 5 points increase. I couldn't quite remember, but she was somewhere around that mark anyway. She's got this beautiful new model. I'll just see if I can hold this up. Look at that. Look at that beastie. What do you guys think of that model?
Oh,
You
can I
bought
just
it?
say big shout out
I
to
can't
one of
see
my
it.
favourite 40k people in the world, yeah, and a man who has reset my heart at least once. Darren from the Canhammer. And I'm just going to show this on the screen. It's my Canhammer. Look at my Canhammer logo. Canhammer! You should listen to the Canhammer guy, specifically Darren, because he's a babe.
I try to, but he streams at 2 a.m. Be more friendly to Europeans,
They
Darren.
put podcasts out on. So
They put podcasts out.
No
Tom.
excuse.
And
you don't know about
I've
your
heard
phone.
soon we might be seeing a new show from Darren from the Canhammer.
Really? I
But
heard a rumour as
more on
that as
that
well.
later. More on that later.
So,
Yeah, please carry on, Tom. Bar on Saturday, thank you for subscribing for 6 months. And he also says, fuck soft points. All right.
So,
Yeah.
Colonel Cabot wants me to talk about the Asayani name generator. Here it is.
There's
Fuck
an
off.
there's an Asarani name generator.
Yes, and it includes names such as Yin Far Wallach, which sounds Welsh.
Tom, randomly generate
Yeah,
yourself a name.
generate us a name. I want a name that I can call myself for the rest of the show.
All right, has anyone got 2d6?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll 2d6 for me?
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
8, 9.
9.
No, but what are the numbers?
Oh,
first
three-
digits.
3 and a 6.
3 and a 6.
Okay, are you male or female?
Female.
Okay, so that means you are Ilith, and that means Song of Enlightenment.
I'm Ilith, the Song of Enlightenment.
Ooh.
Right. Okay. And what about Nick?
So okay, Nikos, do you want to roll for me? Are you male or female?
I will also be female to experience the other side.
Yeah.
24.
You are Alira, and your surname is Ayad Dolaf.
Elira.
Iag Dorath.
It's called you Elira.
Alira.
And I'm Ilith.
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 Okay.
I don't know if it's an F.
Excellent. Well, now that's out of the way. We can talk about important things.
I really enjoyed that.
So,
actually. I'm not
Jane
gonna lie
Czar's
to
had a few changes.
Yeah.
So they have now taken away her disarm mechanic, because what she used to be able to do was she could pick a weapon that whatever she was fighting in melee with was using, and stop them from attacking with that weapon. So that's now been taken away, and it's now been replaced with she is now -1 to hit in melee. She also has a slight change on how she attacks things. So what she does now is she can exchange her attack profile for a number equal to the number of models within 2 inches after she piles it. So if she piles into like a big squad of orc boys and there are 9 orcs within 2 inches of her after the pile in, she can make 9 attacks. Apart from that, she's pretty much the same.
That's not that
got a
good,
big-
though, really.
It's not that great, but you mainly take her because she's really fast. She just runs across the board. She's a character, so she's difficult to target. And then what she ends up doing is just charging a gun line and then just stopping everything from overwatching her. And then she just doesn't leave because she's got a 2-up save and a few wounds and she's -1 to hit. So you can't really actually get rid of her. She just kind of
She's
just runs
-1 to
around
hit
the line.
all the time.
No, just in
combat?
melee.
Oh, just in combat.
Just in melee. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because I mean, if you build around her and you just like take a bunch of like Wind Rider jet bikes with shuriken catapults and just launch them in your opponent's face, she can then charge with a +3 inch distance, and she can declare up to 15 inches away as well. And then there are a bunch of ways to make her go faster as well, which are quite helpful. But
But you still
not all-
think it doesn't seem like it would actually have much utility on the tabletop in the current environment of bolter shots and other things that you're seeing so much.
She's still got 2 up save. She's still toughness 4. I was running around with her at Caledonian Uprising in January when Tau were the hotness, and she was really good into the Tau actually because you just run her up the Tau line and charge over broadsides and just laugh.
Okay.
There's not much you could really do.
Do you think that she's worthwhile just having on her own for that purpose, or do you think if you're going to take her, you need to have other stuff that's going to go in after she's charged in?
Or you need stuff that goes in front of her, because what you end up needing to do is tanking all the wounds and other things, so you can't target Jane's up. So I had like a Wraith Knight just running around. It wasn't a particularly good list, but it was hella funny, so that was all right. You've also got the Howling Banshees in here as well, which are kind of her aspect. They haven't changed too much. I think the price points might have gone down a little bit, but apart from that, they're not that exciting.
They're still strength with a power sword.
They're still strength 3 with a power sword. Absolutely lovely. We all love it.
Do we?
Get
not ideal.
you do get strength 4 if you are an Exarch with an Executioner, which is a strength +1, AP -3, damage D3, but they're not really that great. Maybe if you make him Yunari and you give him a way to reroll to wound, because Yunari has access to a lot of that, then maybe they'd be all right. But it's a bit tough, to be perfectly honest, with the Howling Banshees. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. This is pretty much the least important section of the book, though, as far as I'm concerned, because Jane Zara, I don't think you're really going to see her in top tier competitive play. Maybe you see her down the middle tables or the bottom tables sometimes. Howling Banshee is similar, but
would you say that she's going to be Jane's far down the tables?
No, yes, potentially, maybe. So, she's a cool model. She's a cool unit to have, but she's not great, unfortunately, which is kind of a shame. So the first bit of
Howling Banshee models are cool as well. I like Howling Banshees as a model.
They are cool. Yeah, unfortunately they're metal, which sucks.
Yeah, Kurt Cabby says when you've got Iron Hands Overwatch on 4s and Salamanders getting max flame, it hits Von Flamers. I'd say no Overwatch ability has gone up in value.
Oh yeah, sure, certainly. Yeah, it's definitely good for that. The problem is, are we going to see those as the kind of mainstays of are we going to see those as the main kind of builds?
In the meta.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. What Spider says they always strike first in the new 9th edition Activation Wars.
They do always strike first, but that still works in 8th edition, so I'm not even going to comment on that one necessarily. But the first big section of juice are the Exarch powers, and this is what I'm going to be spending most of the time on.
What are the Exarch powers?
So the Exarch powers is essentially each Exarch comes with a special ability that allows the Exarch to do something a little bit different to the rest of the squad.
And what's an Exarch?
So, for example, they're like the squad leaders.
Okay.
So they're like the sergeants. So when I had Dark Reapers and I had the Tempest Launcher, which is the thing that ignored line of sight, the Exarch squad leader who had the Tempest Launcher was always able to reroll 1s to hit. So what you'd end up doing is you say, oh, this guy, everyone would always ask you, oh, why are you rerolling 1s for this guy? And I'm like, it's because he's got his own special ability. Yeah, no, it's fine. So they all have their own kind of
to explain Eldar rules to people.
Yeah. Do you ever?
There are loads of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and also because they're so like bullshit. Do you ever just be like, I'm so sorry, or do you ever just like say them and the opponent like is looking at you like, what the?
Well, you see, Rob. Now that now rather than having to explain one rule to people about what my Exarch can do, I have 7 different options for what my Exarch can do. So I now have an entire buffet of bullshit to explain to whoever I get to play.
I would like that as the title of the show. The new Phoenix Rising, a buffet of bullshit.
True, I do like scat. Right, so if we get straight into it, I haven't gone through every single one of the Exarch powers because we've got just under a dozen units here, I think. Who all had their own Exarch powers, and there are 6 for each, plus the one that you'll be swapping out. But the mainstay of it is you get a table of 6 powers, and you can choose to swap your Exarch power for one of these new Exarch powers. So, for example, Water Spider Exarchs have an ability to help them with morale. You can choose to swap it for one of these 6 instead. Alternatively, you can take one of these 6 and keep your original one for 1 CP, but you can only do that for 1 squad in each game. So, for example, if I have 3 squads of Dire Avengers, I can only take an extra Exarch power and keep my original one once. I have to either have to swap it or keep it. So I can't do both.
Even listening to it makes me angry.
True. Do you want to get even more angry, Rob? Because I'm about to start. Yeah. So, Fire Dragons. Yeah. There's only really one piece of extra bullshit with the Fire Dragons because they have Crack Shot, which is reroll 1s to hit. and you can swap that for something called Swift Step, which is you can advance with them and roll 3d6 and pick the highest for the advance. Now, this is actually quite good because you can disembark from a transport, you can advance a big distance because you're Eldar. So you roll 3d6, you'll probably get like a 5 or a 6 or something like that. Then you ignore the advance because you've got battle focus because you're Eldar. And then you fire your assault weapon, like melter guns, into something's face. So you just jump out of a
Could you quicken them as well if you really, really needed to?
You can as well do that as well, yeah. So you just launch them straight across the board, and then you go mental. So that's really the only one I was really thinking of.
I've played against Fire Dragons only a couple of times because Paul's got a unit of them, and generally they get out and they frustrate him because they don't kill the thing they shoot at, and then they die.
This just really expands the range of what they can actually shoot at, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's not too many other ones that I was particularly interested in.
I saw one where the Exarch can fire a wall of flame on Overwatch and do D3 mortal wounds to the unit charging. Is that?
Oh, how scary! Well, this is the thing. Like, if I'm taking a unit of Fire Dragons, I'm taking it to blow up a vehicle. I'm not taking it to Overwatch or something.
No. Yeah.
So if we move on to the next unit, they have 3 that I've written down that I was quite interested in, and these are the Dire. So Dire Avengers, the first one I wanted to look at was Blade Storm, which is whenever you roll 6s to hit, unmodified 6s, they become 2 hits. So it's effectively you can give your entire unit of Dire Avengers Daka.
That's pretty good.
Which is pretty good. The second one is Stand Firm, so that's an auto pass morale. So you never fail morale with these guys. The only reason I wasn't particularly interested in this is because if you're taking them, you're probably taking them in a Wave Serpent, which means you have a slightly smaller squad size. So you're not going to use them as tar pits or screens anyway. And if you wanted a tar pit or a screen, you'd probably just use Guardians, who do it much, much better. Although they don't get the free auto pass morale unless you take an Avatar or a Young Khan with them or something like this. A few people have been talking about Shredding Fire as well, which is what it essentially does is it allows the...
Yeah, I blocked them. I saw them talking about it and I blocked them. Every single Eldar person I see talking, I block them.
It's not even very good. So what it does is it allows the Dire Avengers Exarch's attacks to have an AP of AP -3. So all of his attacks have that AP -3. The problem is you're not going to get too many shots out of him. So
Can't you have 2 shuriken catapults?
He can, so that's 4 shots.
No.
So
I thought did Dire Avengers get more shots, or they just got a longer range on their catapults?
They've got a longer range. So the Shuriken catapults on the Guardians are 12, and on the Dire Avengers are 18, and there's a way to elongate that later. Now, Rob, do you really like bullshit?
Love it.
So, here's some bullshit for you. What do you think about Dark Reapers?
Dark Reapers are really good because they ignore all negatives to hit, super good, and they're also very long range, so they're not really ever in threat range of a lot of targets that they can deal with. Probably the optimal set of rules that you would want for a shooting unit, stacked with the ability
two fire modes.
Yeah, stacked with the ability to reroll to wounds. It's one of the strongest units and has been since its game release.
I mean, you can't double fire them, so that's a thing, right?
That's true.
You know how you said they had a very long range?
Yeah.
Well, what if I was to tell you that for the low price of the Exarch's reroll 1s to hit, the entire unit could have a 54-inch range?
What?
So
they're even further away.
There is a power called long-ranged fire, and it says, whilst this unit contains a Dark Reaper Exarch, add 6 to the range characteristic of ranged weapons models in this unit are equipped with. So all your Reaper launchers become 54-inch range. Your Tempest launcher becomes 42-inch range.
Okay.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
It's good news for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
it's lovely.
Jumping for joy.
It's good because the issue was that they were too far. They shot too far, so you couldn't get them.
So when I read that one, the note I actually wrote down for it was long-ranged fire. Rules team wrote this book drunk. Add 6 inches to range of units, weapons while Exarch is alive. Silly.
The rules team also came nearly bottom at the Warhammer World Team event at Games Workshop.
nothing like an ad hominem in there. We love it. I also did write down for a couple of other ones as well. So there's Rapid Shot, which allows you to get an extra shot with the Dark Reaper Exarch's weapon. You're probably taking a Tempest Launcher, which fires 2d6 shots, which isn't great on that. But if you are taking a Tempest Launcher, you can take the Rain of Death Exarch power, which allows you to reroll the number of shots a Tempest Launcher does, which I think is actually better than reroll ones anyway. So you'd never ever take reroll ones now. You'd either take the Rain of Death if you have the Tempest Launcher, or you take Rapid Shot if you don't. Or if you like range,
What
which
if you're
I do, you
having
take-
like 3 units of 3? That's the Reign of Death one's probably better.
the Reign of Death one is really, really good because if you're taking them for the Tempest launchers,
Yeah.
the Reign of Death one is really, really good. I do quite like the 42-inch range on the Tempest launchers though, so I might have a test out and see what I think of those.
Okay.
But at the minute, probably go Reign of Death. Howling Banshees, they have some more rules over here actually, so we don't, just finish on there. So that's now on to page 44. So they have something called Graceful Avoidance, which so Graceful Avoidance. I've written down the wrong notes for it. That's my mistake there. So in the fight phase, they get a 5+ feel no pain. But in order to get that, you have to sacrifice Warshout. So you either get the -1 to be hit in melee, or you get the 5+ feel no pain. I haven't actually run the maths on it, but I think the 5+ feel no pain is better. Unless you're getting hit by anything which is more than damage 1. If it's more than damage 1, then you'd want the Warshout. Which is why I'm interested to see if TOs run this with you having the ability to change which Exarch power you have between games.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. I was like, when do you decide that? Is it written into your list, or is it
written in the
at
book?
The start of the
so North
game?
Wales, it's kind of like relics and things like that and psychic powers. So the way that the North Wales Open is going to do it is it's going to do it that you can't change between rounds, but it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the TOs do with it. So if you can change, it makes it even better because a lot of these are very situational, specifically on the Howling Banshees and also specifically on the Crimson Hunter Exarchs as well. There's quite a lot of overlap between which ones you could be taking. Oh, and Water Spiders as well. But apart from that, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I don't think this particularly saves Howling Banshees, though. I don't think they're that good a choice.
No, +1 strength would have maybe done it.
It would have been lovely. Yeah, that would have been lovely. Speaking of units that are pretty much coming back from this, Swooping Hawks. So Swooping Hawks previously had an Exarch power called Herald of Victory, and it's absolute hot garbage. So what it does is it gives you +1 ship for craftball units within 3 inches of the Exarch, and that's absolutely terror bad. So what you can take instead is you can have the entire unit reroll to hit when shooting against units with the fly keyword, which is and then you also have suppressing fire, which is incredible on a screen. So what it does is the Hawks are now -2 to be charged if the Swooping Hawk Exarch fires Overwatch at the unit that is charging. So it effectively makes them kind of like an impulsor or something like that. It's the same debuff there. So you normally have to try and shoot them off, which makes it tricky. Although the stipulation with this is if you're poking your head out to Overwatch with the Swooping Hawk Exarch, what's going to end up happening is you're also going to be able to be shot. So it's not like you can stick them in a ruin, be flat -2 to be charged, and then just annoy people to death. So quite a couple of nice, nifty little rules there. Swooping Hawks are very, very cheap and make quite good screens. They're really annoying. So we'll see how they work. I don't know if you guys have had any experience with Swooping Hawks recently at all.
No, not really.
All right, fair enough.
Which is surely a good indication as to how much they're around, right?
Yeah.
I never really maybe
they're
saw
still
like
pretty
one unit in someone's list. I never really saw anyone like do the classic
Okay.
40k of spam 3 of them. Is the max
Yeah.
unit 5?
No, max unit of 15, I think.
Oh, you can have a max unit of 15.
So it's 5 to 15, and I was running them at the London GT, and they were okay.
Because they've got a lot of shots each, haven't they? Like 4 shots.
They do roll lots. They're 3
nice.
shots each, but they are strength free.
Yeah.
So rerolling to hit is quite good on those because you're getting a lot of efficiency out of those. We do have Striking Scorpions. They have one that's worth changing for. They have something called Withdraw, and you'll see this popping up on a lot of these Elder units. And this is quite good because at the end of a fight phase, you can choose to make a Fallout move up to 6 inches. So effectively, if you think you're going to get battered, like you charge something, and then you think you're going to get battered next turn, you just move 6 inches away, which is quite useful.
But you just get shot if you do that anyway.
Well, it depends on what you want. For example, if you're Shining Spears, you're far easier to kill in melee than you are in shooting. Which, speaking of Shining Spears, we're going to get into these now.
Oh.
Now, Rob,
Okay.
Are you ready, buddy? So,
I'm ready.
Shining Spears are back, baby. So,
Did they go?
they did go.
I never saw them
for a
go.
couple
When
of
did
months.
they go?
2 months ago, something like that. Whenever Yunari dropped.
Did they really actually go though?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They did.
They officially
So-
went for 2 months.
And now we're back again. So, Shining Spears, the Exarch power currently is you get to reroll to wound against monsters and vehicles. You do have a withdraw I just spoke about. You also have something called Swooping Dive, which is a +1 to charge with the Shining Spears, which you can then combo with Bealtan for another +1. And then you can combo with one of the custom Craft World powers, which is another +1 to charge. And then you can combo it with a Psychic Power, so you can get up to a +4 to charge. I believe someone was talking about a +5, but I haven't checked that one out. I can at least get up to a +4 right now. But the one I like is called Skilled Rider. So what it does is it allows you to give the Shining Spear Exarch a 3+ invulnerable save from shooting rather than a 4+. Mm-hmm. Now, you can instantly combo that with Protect Jinx to upgrade that to a 2+ invulnerable save. And then you have a Psychic Power called Fateful Divergence, which is a 4 cast, and you cast it on a unit, and that gives it a reroll to a single hit, wound, or save roll. Yeah. So now you've got a 2+, which you can reroll, and then you might fail it. It's okay, you've got 3 wounds. So you shoot it again.
Recently, they've been a bit better at catching all those 2+ invulnerable saves, because most rules they've limited it to a 3+. So I imagine that's one of the things.
Yeah, but these are new rules interacting with old rules.
Yeah.
So they would have had to have read the old.
Oh, they would have had to remember the old rules.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even do that. They could literally pick up a book and read it. Like, it's not like they're like, yeah, no books here. Like, does anyone remember the rule? No.
Has anyone got the old book?
Has anyone got the rules?
Has anyone got the book?
I haven't bought the book. Well, you haven't bought it. Just figure it out yourself.
Lexicanum doesn't tell you that.
Look it up on
it?
So a 2+ invulnerable save with 2 rerolls. Reroll once for that, and obviously a reroll available also from the command point reroll.
For a CP.
For a CP.
So now you just wander around with your Shining Spears, your 44-inch movement, just dicking on things.
And then you can
being really annoying.
And I presume that's really good because you can allocate wounds to the champion, right?
Yes, so you can just say, well, I'm just going to tank it on my guy with a 2+ invulnerable save. And then even if he dies, everyone else has got a 3+.
Yeah.
So it's kind of silly, but whatever, good fun. So speaking of more bullshit,
fun.
Who's it fun for?
Me. It's the only fun I care about, motherfucker. Like, we'll be having that one.
Okay, please continue. Tell me more.
And ultimately, we've got the Crimson Hunter Exarchs. Now, their current Exarch ability is reroll ones to hit, and you will never keep that because mathematically these are better. So there are 3, which I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the 2 that I like, and then the 2 that I've picked. The 1 that I've picked even. So the first one that I like is called Aerial Predator, which is an ability that gives you +1 to damage things with a fly keyword. So that's really, really good against things like repulsors, which is why I was also talking a lot about why it'll be important to see whether or not TOs allow you to change your Exarch powers between games. Because if you can do that, then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to say, well, I'm swapping to Aerial Predator. I'm now doing 4 damage against your repulsors. So that allows them to remove them quite quickly, or at least a little bit more quickly than they were previously. The second thing I was going to talk about is going to make Nikos' head explode. It's called Aerial Maneuvering. So you know how Vector Dancer is bullshit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if your Vector Dancer allowed you to pivot 180 degrees rather than 90.
Well, that'd be absurd, wouldn't it?
No.
It would be absurd.
What's the point?
What's the point? The point. The reason they're already so good is because they can change 90 degrees at the end.
Yeah. There's basically, what's the point in being a flyer? You may as well just say they're not. They have all the rules of being a flyer, but you don't actually have to move them around like a flyer. You just put them wherever you want, whenever you want.
I mean, they can still move around wherever they want. They can just turn one way, move them, and turn the other in the same movement phase.
But now they can just go forwards and backwards, like a monorail, an Eldar monorail.
True, but like a tram system, just screening.
Well, this is
in front of you, like
ludicrous.
A kid playing.
Why?
With,
no other planes can do that. They can't even do the first one, let alone the more improved second one.
Okay.
What negatives? Like, what do you have to do? Do you have to pay a CP for this?
Well, it means you don't get reroll ones to hit with your Crimson Hunter Exarchs, I guess.
But now you can hit better and be in the place you want to go.
Yeah, stop dying.
Yeah, just blocking things.
Bloody Eldar monorail.
What's the name of
Welcome
that?
to the monorail.
What's the name of those wooden train sets you get kids?
Or
that you find at like doctors.
So it's like a Scale Electrics.
No. It's not as technical as Scale Electric. So you go to the doctors, and in the corner would be like those like bead wire sets.
Playing Eldar is not as technical as Scale Electrics. You're correct.
It is Brio.
And then there's one button that you press in Scale Electrics.
Yeah, there you go. You just push it. It's like,
yeah, but you have to hold it at a certain speed though.
Yeah.
So
what?
Yeah,
the Scale Electric you have to hold like a certain speed that you can't fly off.
Yeah, pretty similar to the Eldar, right?
And also, you also have to build up your wrist strength when you're doing Scale Electrics. It's obviously not a problem for me, but for everybody else, I mean, it's good exercise.
Okay.
So, yeah, the final one is my personal favorite because it's Warp Spiders, and I love Warp Spiders.
You do.
So the Exarch Warp Spider power is currently it allows you to auto pass morales, which is fine, but you've got squad sizes of 5 or 10, so it's not that exciting. So I've picked out 2 here that I really like. You've got Surprise Assault, which is when you arrive on the battlefield in that turn, you get to reroll to hit with all your death spinners, which is
How many shots do they have?
So they have 2 shots each, and you can take 1 death spinner each, and you can take 2 on the Exarch. So you'd get a total of 22 shots with a squad of 10 with all the upgrades. And then they're strength 6, AP dash, and then 6's cause AP -4. So they're like slightly better rend. So rerolling to hit with those is quite good because their wounding is so effective. But the one I really, really like for Warp Spiders is called Web of Deceit. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows you to pick up your squad of Warp Spiders once per game and just drop it anywhere outside 9 inches of your enemy, of enemy units. So, for example, turn 5, I could just pick up 30 Warp Spiders off the back of my board and just dump them off the side of objectives and be really annoying.
That is annoying.
So, it is annoying. I do like it.
And also good in ITC if you wanted to get those particular, like, table quarters. If you're
Potentially.
looking to aim for that.
Yeah, I think you can do that most of the time anyway with Warp Spiders because they move 4d6 plus 7 inches. So they are very, very fast anyway, and they're quite durable with the free up save, so you can just bounce them between cover, giving them a 2+.
I've just Googled what Warp Spiders look like, by the way. Hot trash.
They're awful, aren't they?
Hot trash.
So I've got a bunch of third-party ones, so I can't use those at Games Workshop events. But I just like my Warp Spiders so much, man. I just love them. My favourite unit, apart from the Young Khan. So,
Heinrad, don't worry about. You keep playing. Heinrad just said I was looking forward to playing 40k. You play 40k, brother. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry. Just get on your Eldar monorail. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, just play the Young Khan and Warp Spiders, and no one will care. No,
yeah, what's how I got 40k?
You're right, buddy.
Well, he's got Eldar.
Oh, he's got Eldar.
So these are all extra special rules you can choose to give your Aspect Warriors
for
really
free.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, for free. Apart from except you have to change like your previous power for it, which in some cases it wasn't that good anyway. I did forget the best Crimson Hunter Exarch power though, the one that I really, really like, and it's called Hawkeye. So what it allows you to do is effectively you don't take the negative for moving and firing heavy weapons. So
negative what?
For your leadership.
For moving and firing heavy weapons. So
okay.
So, which means it's mathematically better than the current one in every single way, because now, rather than there being one dice roll result that allows you to re-roll to see if you actually hit, you have a whole extra dice result that's actually a hit. Because you are always going to be moving these things, because you can't hover, and therefore you're going to be firing at -1 all the time. Now that just ignores it, so now you're always hitting on 2s with your Crimson Hunter Exarchs.
Lovely.
He says, I love how enthusiastic Tom is for the hotness, but when he turns up to his local club and no one wants to have a game with him.
I want a game? No, I'm on holiday, mate.
Some say I'm like the British XQC. I'm really weird, but at the same time, I'm also very charismatic. And no one wants to play me because no one likes me.
I don't know what any of those references meant.
It's an Overwatch thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
It's fine. Yeah. I don't even like Overwatch, but it's okay.
Same.
I watched that go over my head.
Trash game. Joke. So those are all the free rolls. Now imagine, guys, where else? So you're the Games Workshop rules team right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're sat in a really long kind of hall of evil, and you are thinking, how could we find more ways to give Eldar new rules? Where else could we insert new rules into an Eldar's kit?
Psychic powers.
We've tried giving them into their data sheets. We've given them lots of psychic powers. But where in this web of rules can we find to replace rules to give Eldar more rules?
We're going to give Eldar a brand new phase at the start of the turn.
I like it.
That's a good one.
We already have that. It's called Phantasm. I love it. What else? What else do you think?
How about the ability once per turn to retroactively change something because of some sort of farseer foresight?
That could be good. So let's combine those two things. We already have the ability to pick 2 psychic powers. What if players could replace Smite with more bullshit?
Smite?
That fixed power that no one else gets to change.
No.
Imagine if you could swap it for more Eldar bullshit.
You can change it for your psychic powers that you already have.
Well, what if you had a specific tree to replace Smite with?
Well, that's
Why?
basically a new phase.
Why? It's basically a new phase. What's the tree called?
It's called the Runes of Fortune.
Oh my
Because
god.
we're really lucky to be playing this brilliant faction. So, I've got a few top picks for spells you can take.
So you replace
instead of
Smite.
You replace your Smite.
So you basically you take a Psyker and then you replace and you pick a spell from the spell lore, and then you can also replace Smite with one of these.
Yes.
Spiteful. Okay.
Indeed. So I'm going to read out some powers,
Yep.
and
Please
you guys are going to try and guess
Refuse to.
what warp charge they are.
Okay.
For God's sake.
I like this game.
Oh my God's sake.
Are you ready, chat?
No, I know it's I know that they're all super low. I know. Okay, all right.
I never said that.
Okay, go.
Settle down. So the first one's called Fateful Divergence. No cheating in the chat. So this one allows you to roll a single hit, wound, or save roll for a unit, and it's got a 6-inch range, and it has to be cast on a unit that's the same craft wall as the Psycho that cast it. Now, if you were listening earlier, you would know what warp charge this is. What warp charge is it? We're going to go to Nikos first.
4.
Rob, what do you think?
I am also. It sounds very good. I think it should be a 6 to cast. So 3.
Well, you see, when Space Marines got an equivalent of this, it allowed you to either get a CP or get the reroll. Now, you don't get the option to get a CP, but you do have a lot of better things.
Oh.
The Marine one, I believe, is Warp Charge 6.
Sorry, Tom, can you say that again?
So, Warp Charge 4. So, Nikos and the chat, for those of you who were cheating, What the Spider, I'm looking at you. You got it right. Second one, it's called Ghost Walk. Now, this is another power that has to be cast on something from the same craft world. It's 6-inch range. It's +2 to charge.
Oh, so great
Rob,
for Shining
what do you think?
Spears.
It's great for you. Yes.
+2 to charge is actually a huge mathematical thing. But you can already move so far and be an inch away, and it guarantees you not failing the charge.
What if you want to jump over things? So you move up in front of the thing and then you go, woo.
That's what I was
straight over
thinking.
your
But
field.
it's much harder to screen. Like, obviously, I watched a lot of Age of Sigmar where the screens are 3 inches. Like, you have to be 3 inches away before you charge. So that inch always seems like the whole game is just like, right, everyone's just stood next to each other.
Well, you can do a
charging.
lot with the next 2 inches, Rob.
Yeah, but I'm going to go for 6.
Okay, Nikos, what do you think?
I was going to go for 6, so just to be different, I'll go for a 5.
You're very good at this. It was Warp Charge 6. And then finally, we have Impair Senses. So you declare this against an enemy unit, and that unit can only shoot against units within 18 or the closest enemy unit. So effectively, it limits the range of the enemy units shooting weapons to 18.
God, that's
Or if
so
there's nothing
fucking
within 18, you
sneaky.
can only shoot
Wait,
that.
it shoots one model or one unit?
So you cast it against an enemy unit.
Perfect.
That enemy unit can only shoot against the closest enemy unit or units within 18. So what it effectively does is it reduces the range of all their weapons to 18, and if there's nothing within 18 inch
fucking
range, you
nine.
can only shoot at the enemy unit.
Just that one 9.
It's 18-inch range. What warp charge do you think this is?
I reckon that is
It's really good.
It's a good spell. I'm going to go
7.
for an 8.
7.
It's a 6.
Ooh,
So good.
Very good.
okay.
So we're gonna. So we're just
Classic
gonna
Eldar spell. It's like it's one that's cast on you. Like,
bullshit.
fucking hell, that's annoying.
Yeah.
from far away, and if you take a Warlock Conclave, you can double the range of it and make it 36-inch range. So we're just going to quickly touch on the power that Nikos was talking about earlier. It's called Focus Will, and the actual wording of it is: Focus Will has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one friendly Craft World Psyker within Psyker model within 6 inches of this Psyker until the end of this phase. When a Deny for Witch test is taken from that model, add 2 to the total. So currently, that spell does absolutely nothing.
Until
But
9th
who's
edition
to say?
drops.
Until 9th edition drops, I would assume.
So
that's
explain that out to me again.
So it means until the end of the phase, a friendly Psyker can only gets +2 to deny. But of course, in your psychic phase, you aren't denying anything.
Oh my god!
So-
9th edition!
Yeah, so there's two options. It's they've just made a typo.
Well, but it's a whole sentence structure is a mistake. That like
Well, no, you could change the word phase to until the start of your next psychic
And
phase.
end of your next phase, or end of your next psychic phase,
Yeah.
or end of your something like whatever. So either
Yeah.
that, or it's a rule that was written intended for a potential alternating activation edition.
gossip.
That's
all
the
over
one I'd like to
place.
think.
Yeah.
Where's
true.
Valrat gone? Let's tag him.
Or until the FAQ drops. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, go
There
for
he
it.
is. Tag him in the chat, see if you can get that. So that's pretty much the end of the psychic powers. I heard you like more
what charge is that? I'm reckon it was a 6.
Oh, sorry about the warp charge 6. Oh, focus will. I haven't even written down warp charge. Oh, it is warp charge 6 for this useless power.
Nice.
Nice, indeed. Very, very good. So, the last thing we have for craft worlds before we have Drakari and Yunari, which are slightly smaller.
And Harlequins?
There's no Harlequins.
There's no Harlequins in the Phoenix Rising.
I believe so. Let's have a look.
Oh my god.
I'm going to just check the contents page and see if they forgot that Harlequins were a thing. There's a picture of girlfriend.
Now.
There's a picture of a map. I do like my maps. That was kind of cool.
Talk about my Harlequins
Yeah, there's craft worlds, Drakari, and Yunari. There are no Harlequins.
Okay, that's fine.
Sad. I'm glad
First they took away the charge phase.
Then they gave us back the charge phase, but then we were already sad. And then you could say that our life is not a tragedy; it's a comedy. The Harlequin player's life.
So I went through the craft world attributes.
Okay.
The craft world attributes are effectively how you can create a custom craft world. So you can take 2 rules from this section and add them in, and everything in your detachment will get these rules.
So they've made like the thing like the Marine Successor chapter thing.
So if you take a Latark...
No, you can't take a Latark. It has to be a complete homebrew.
Right, perfect. Okay, I'm ready for this.
So I wrote down in my notes, it's called Tom's Picks. So the idea here was I was going to take 4 or 5 ones that I thought were really good.
Tom's top picks.
Yeah, TTP.
I ended up with 11.
11 top picks.
Loads of really good ones. Yeah,
11
top picks.
Out of...
there are quite a few. There's like 4 pages or something.
Okay, 11 top picks.
So the first 2 are the 2 I've actually taken in my North Wales Open list. The first one is called Children of Prophecy, and that means whenever you roll a psychic test for something in the detachment, each individual roll of a 1 is counted as a 2. So if you have something in here which is casting Fateful Divergence, for example, you can always automatically pass it because it's warp charge 4. So even if you roll to roll a double 1, it counts as a double 2. So you pass it on a 4.
That's pretty good.
Really good.
That's pretty good. And would you say it's so important to be able to have those psychic powers go off that you would forgo other things?
What I've literally done with my list is I have bought an extra Farseer just to stick in a different detachment so I can proc Seer Council if I need to, which is an ability to get +1 to my casts. Just so I'm guaranteeing getting all these powers off, because Eldar are so reliant upon their powers, not because the rest of the army is bad, but because the powers are so good. Okay. And so you build around these powers. So getting these powers off is really, really important. What I've then done is I've then comboed it with Children of the Open Skies, because I always take my Psychers on bikes, because that way they become characters, they get a lot of extra range for movement, so they can slingshot up the board and cast powers and a lot of things. And what this does is it allows a unit with fly that has that attribute to get an additional +2 to their movement when they advance. So now what I'm able to do is I'm able to move my Farseer 24 inches when it advances, because it advances 8 inches, and then cast my Doom 24, so I've got an effective 48-inch range on my Doom power.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really like those. And then, so it just
because that would be the issue before. You would always sometimes be sacrificing the unit to the Psyker to do Doom. So now...
Well, I'm still doing that. It just allows me to sacrifice it from further away. It doesn't extend the range of the power. It extends the range I can move.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So it's just more power. We then have Expert Crafters, which is effectively the Salamander's one, which allows you to reroll a single hit and wound roll when shooting, fighting, and firing Overwatch. So if you take small unit count sizes, so for example,
like the Salamander thing.
Yeah, so you can take things like planes, which are obviously individual units, so each individual plane is going to get to reroll something, or you take something like Wraith Lords or something like that, and it's all that kind of stuff. It's one of those where it's situationally effective, but in large units it's not great.
But if you do like
large units, yeah, exactly. It's one of those where you can build for it, because remember you get 2 of these, so you can take that one and you're still not sacrificing too much. You then have Hail of Doom, which is one of my favorites, actually. So what you end up getting is you end up getting +1 to the AP value of Shuriken weapons when targeting an enemy unit in 12. Shuriken weapons. So Guardians already have a range of 12. So what you end up doing is now when you're firing the Guardians at 12-inch range, you are going to be firing 40 shots at strength 4, AP -1, and then rolling 6s at AP -3, because it doesn't affect that one. So it just really impacts the power of Guardians there.
And Guardians and Doom is always a good combo, isn't it? So that just makes it
because you get
even
so many
better.
shots. Yeah, because you get so many shots, effectively, just it adds value to that. But what you can also do is you can combo quite a few of these things with the Guardians. So you could also take something called Superior Shurikens, which allows you to add 4 inches to a range of Shuriken weapons, which works on Dire Avengers and it works on Guardians. So now your Dire Avengers have a range of 22 inches with their Shuriken weaponry, and the Guardians have a range of 16 inches with their weaponry.
Ooh.
Or alternatively, but then of course you still have to be like within 12 inches to get the Hail of Doom, right? Which is the -1 AP.
Okay.
Or you could combo it with Martial Citizenry, which is Guardians get reroll 1s to hit for your entire detachment. So you could drop a bunch of Guardians in there, firing 40 shots, rerolling 1s to hit, and AP -1.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
It is pretty good.
I've seen Guardians, and Guardians still got their strat, haven't they, as well?
So the strat is Ulfway only, I'm afraid. So you won't be able to do it. So you can't get a 2+ rerolling 1s and then wounding on 4s rerolling at AP -1.
I mean, why not
Unfortunately.
at this stage?
Just give them it.
I mean, you don't need it. I don't think. I think it does quite a lot of damage already, so we can ignore those ones. We then add. You could also add a Headstrong in, which is another one. So you could put Shining Spears in here if you wanted to, and that gives them a +1 to their charge rolls as well. So now, just from this rule set, you're acquiring up to +3 to charge with your Shining Spears. Masterful Shots is another one that's quite good, which allows you to ignore cover with your shooting. One that I have been looking at quite a bit is also Massive Concealment. So this one is effectively when your units are being shot at from more than 12 inches away, you gain a cover save. So if you've stuck your plane right to the bow, getting a 2+ save pretty much all the time until you fly straight into someone's face.
Wow.
Which I'm not sure if that's better than Lighthawk, but we'll have to see. So
I suppose it's all right for Reapers as well because they're kind of like Marines. You generally want them in cover to get their 2-up save, so
Yeah,
you could put them in
exactly.
more exposed positions and still be
yeah.
a bit more resilient.
It depends on what you're doing with the Reapers, because if you're taking big squads, I agree. The problem is if you're taking small squads with things like the Tempest launches, you don't really want to be building around those things because they're just kind of like utility pieces that are just there to pick things off like Thunderfire cannons. We have a couple more left. So you have Mobile Fighters. So we were talking a little bit about the Dire Avengers earlier with the Superior Shurikens with the +4 inch range of my weapons. You can also give them Mobile Fighters, so you can reroll 1s to hit in a turn in which you disembark from a transport. So that works really well with Fire Dragons, which we were talking about earlier, which aren't too reliable. It also works really, really well with Dire Avengers because a lot of people take them and take quite a few Wave Serpents because we all know Wave Serpents are still really, really good.
The business. They are the business.
They are
Really,
business.
really good.
Yeah, so you can take Fire Dragons or Dire Avengers in those, drop them out, and then just go nuts. I mean, once they've all died, it's like, well, now you've got a pretty hard task to kill all these Wave Serpents because it just blitzed you with an entire alpha just jumping out of Wave Serpents. Good luck. And then the final one that I want to talk about, I'm not sure it's quite that good, but it's one of those that's worth mentioning because it's kind of gimmicky. It's called Strike and Fade. And this one, if you take this, you can't take another attribute. You only get one if you take this one.
But all
Otherwise,
those
you get
others,
two.
you can take one, like you can combine
Two.
the 2 of them.
Yes, you can combine
Interesting.
2 of them. So this one you can only take one. This one allows you to fall back and charge. And in addition, if you consolidate towards an enemy unit and there's nothing within 3 inches of you, so okay, if you've charged something and killed it, and when you can consolidate in any direction you want. You don't have to necessarily consolidate towards the closest enemy unit. So you could just be a real dick with that one, if you fancy it. So I will kind of want to see how people start using that one, and then maybe we can revisit that one another time. But at the minute, it's I'm very tired, so I haven't really had much time to really dig into that one.
So what combos are you looking at?
So at the minute, we've looked at the Guardian one, which is the Hail of Doom plus the Martial Citizenry. I really like the Cycle one, which is Children of Prophecy and Children of the Open Skies is another combo to make a really nice Supreme Command attachment. Expert Crafters can go really, really well with planes, as can Massive Concealment, so you can take those two together. And then if you're taking things like Wave Serpents and Dire Avengers, you can go for things like Superior Shurikens and which one else were you going for? And Mobile Fighters as well.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of good combos in here.
40k all the way
And
in the chat is just saying, I think the +4 range and -1 AP on 18 Wind Riders in the Wind Rider host attachment for another -1 AP, so that'd be -2 AP in total, is really strong. So with an extended 4-inch range on top of that.
But the problem with that one is that in order to get access to the -1 AP, that's only for a phase and it's free command points. So you're ending up spending free command points a turn just to generate an extra point of AP when normally just -1 AP is fine. Also, Eldar do have a problem with accessing a large amount of CP because you don't really want to be taking a battalion because a lot of your elites, fast attack, and heavy support troops are quite expensive, as are your troops. The cheapest you have are the Storm Guardians, and really it's more valuable for Eldar to be putting those points into things like Warlocks or potentially an extra couple of bodies to be shooting than it is to be trying to generate CP.
Good point. There you go. Cool. Thanks. All right. What's next?
It is okay.
What's up next?
So next up,
I just had a quick question before we move on, Tom. I think quite a lot of the new hotness Marine lists and Iron Hand lists we've seen have been not all the time straight Iron Hands. They've been using the successor chapters stuff. Do you think that's going to be how a lot of Eldar lists will be going forward, using a mix of these things to get the best out of a list?
So I'll have to see it digest first. What I'm taking is a mix of, well, this weekend I'm taking a mix of a homebrew craft world called Dab on It Wagwan. I'm taking another one called, I'm taking some Alatok for my planes, and I'm taking some Simhan for my jet bikes. So I'm taking a combination of the three. So we'll see how that pans out. Okay. I'm still experimenting with a lot because there's a lot in here to digest. So we'll see what I think of it after that. But at the minute, I'm not certain. I think we might see a few. Sorry. Smoker's cough. We might see a few of these, but we'll have to see. It's essentially my short question. I'm just going to filibuster that.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Rob, you got any questions before we move on to Drukhari?
No. I think I agree with Nikos's question. I also think I think like the strength can be found in obviously overlapping the two rules that you want, and then picking the units that are really efficient inside of those as well, right? Like, yeah. So they've now given you a way to take your efficient units, then expand the rules on top of them for free. Always interesting.
I definitely think we'll see a lot of that plane build you talked about, like the Salamander trait with planes.
Could be. I don't know if it's worth taking over a Alatok is the only thing. So we'll see about that one. I think that requires a bit of testing. I think the main issue with knowing if this is going to change Eldar dramatically is not because these things aren't good, because they clearly are. The question is, are they better than what we currently have?
Right. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. That's a good point, and the only real point to make, truth be told. Okay. Fair enough. What's up next, Tom?
So next up we've got Drukhari. So what we have here is we have two unit changes, and then we have obsessions for Cabals, Witch Cults, and Homunculus Covens. And that's what we've included for Drukhari in the book. So for Drukhari, we've got Drazhar, who... do you want some lore on this one?
Give us some lore.
Wait, you've got some?
Sweet lore.
I've got some.
No way.
Drazhar used to be the Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions. Ooh. But then he got a bit naughty.
How naughty?
And ended up in Comrie, very naughty.
Did he get naughty with a Howling Banshee?
All they told us that he was very naughty. So he went off to Comrie and did some naughty things there instead. And at one point he fought Karandras, who's the current Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions. So he's a naughty boy who used to be an Eldar Striking Scorpion.
But he's not a Drukhari now, or he is?
He's now a Drukhari. He's the leader of the Incubi.
Wow.
And he's the leader of the Incubi cult. So Drazhar, 120 points. He's got a standard Phoenix Lord stat line with a 7-inch move. He hits on 2, strength toughness 4, 6 wounds, and only 4 attacks because Phoenix Lords suck. We then has a 2+ save, and he also has a 5+ invulnerable save, so just in case he gets hit by something. Poor Jane Zar doesn't get any of that nonsense. Also has access to Power from Pain, which means that he can get that 6+ DPR as well. He also has some very wordy special rules that do very little. So he has one that enemy units within 6 inches of him. You okay, Rob? I tickle you a little bit, mate.
They're just...
He's gone. All this Eldar bullshit's getting to him. It's the fumes. So if an enemy unit within 6 inches of him loses a model, they lose a model if they roll their leadership and they roll equal to their leadership value. They'll still lose a model. So if it's close, they'll lose a model.
If you exactly pass, you still lose a model.
You lose one model.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is. Yeah. They need to really play both of their game systems. They're like -1.
Hey, they did this weekend.
Within 3 inches.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, so.
Wow.
So
amazing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Okay.
He also has +1 to wound for Incubi within 6 inches of him, and that includes himself.
I mean, that's great.
He is an Incubi. Yeah. That's quite good. Pity about the Incubi bit. Then his weapons are... So he basically has the same weapons as Incubi. So he can either fight with a single blade, which is +1 strength, so that'll make him strength 5, and then obviously has a +1 to wind as well. AP -3, damage 2, or he can go dual blades, which is strength for user, so strength 4, AP -2, damage 2, but he gets 2 extra attacks with both, so he gets up to a mighty 6 attacks. I know, amazing.
Do you think
Also,
Incubi will make the opponent go bye-bye?
No, I think the Incubi will go bye-bye.
Oh.
But they are cool, so that's disappointing. Also, when he wounds on a 6, an unmodified 6, he gets a +2 to his damage. So all his damage will be damage 4 if he rolls a 6 to wound.
It's cool.
Which is pretty good.
Is that unmodified 6?
Unmodified 6, so you can't push that one up. Also, if Drazhar charged this turn, he may fight an additional time. So he can fight twice with his 4 attacks, which is...
there you go.
So
he's got 8 attacks.
He's got 8 or 12 attacks.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
He's actually all right for 120 points. It's not too bad.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically the same as Furious, right?
Well, the problem with him is I think they try to encourage you to take him in a list full of Incubi.
Yeah.
The problem is the Incubi. So if we go through the Incubi, they all hit on 3s, apart from McClavex, who hits on 2s in melee.
Yeah.
They're all strength and toughness 3. With 3 attacks, strength 3+ save and Leech of 8 or 9 from the Clavex, and they have the same weapon as Drazhar, but it's -1 damage. And also, because they're only strength 3, they are strength 3 with the weapon with the dual blades, which have the extra attacks, or they're strength 4. The advantage of these things, though, is that they get quite a lot of attacks. So they get 3 on the base guys and then 4 on the main Clavex. I think if you're going to take Incubi, you probably need Drazhar there as well, just to mean that you're now wounding on 3s and 4s rather than 4s and 5s, just because of the strength of the weapon. I don't necessarily think you're going to need to use dual blades all the time, which is kind of helpful because it now means that you're going to be strength 4 a lot of the time anyway, just because your base attack roll is so much higher. They also have access just quite. The problem is they're still quite squishy for what they are. They're kind of like the.
What was that, Tom?
Power from Pain.
Oh, Power from Pain, yeah.
It's Power from Pain. Sorry, I don't know if I dropped out a bit there.
It's okay.
But so that means you're going to an elite 6 up Feel No Pain and things like that, and extra bonuses to their charge rolls. The problem with them is they're still quite expensive because you're paying a premium for the quality of attacks and the number of attacks, but they're still like toughness 3 plus save bods.
Problem's getting there, right? Is it the problem?
The problem is getting there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can stick them in. You can still stick them in things like Venoms, and that leads me very nicely onto the Cabal Obsessions, because if you take the Incubi in a Cabal Obsession with, I've also done top picks here, and what I've done for each one of these is I've picked two of my favorites.
Yeah.
So, my first favorite for Cabal Obsessions is called Mobile Raiders, which allows your units to fly in your Cabal detachment to get an extra +3 to their movement, which is really good on things like Venoms, Raiders, Ravagers.
That's great.
It's really fast. So you can stick your Incubi in there, fly them across. It'll be all right. They totally won't die on the way there. It'll be great.
But they will die when they get there.
Like Venoms don't die.
They'll die. They'll die. They'll die slightly on the Overwatch. Then they'll kill a few Marines, and then they'll
really die.
Then they'll die later.
Now, so in the chat, Colonel Cabbage has mentioned the amount of damage that Drukhari could do to knights, and generally it hasn't been very good because you're firing poisoned weapons at them. Now, I've got a thing here called Toxin Crafters, and what these do is you get +1 damage on poisoned weapons when they roll 6s to wound. Now, the interesting thing here is when you're firing at knights, you're always needing 6s to wound, which means that every time you wound, each of your poisoned weapons is going to be doing damage 2. So it really helps your ability to knock down those knights.
But they've still got a 3-up save against it.
Yeah, but you got lots of shots, Nicholas. Don't worry about it.
You're ruining the narrative here. Yeah.
Hey, you kill the knights doubly as quickly.
Enough to know that doesn't really work.
Yeah.
That's because you're doing 1 damage, Nicholas.
Yeah, now you're doing 2.
True.
Think about that. Yeah.
Imagine if a knight's had 12 wounds instead of 24. That'd be all right.
I remember once throwing in like 30 orc boys into a shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike, and then fighting twice, and then he was just there like, cool, I've taken 1 wound, and I was like, sweet, this game sucks balls. I was like, no, this way to die situation did not work out in my favor. So he didn't die.
So moving on to the witch cults, because apparently we like talking about things that die in close combat. So I've got a really nice one I like here. It's called Acrobatic Display. And what it allows you to do is you get a +1 to invulnerable save in close combat. So if you don't have an invulnerable save, you get a 6+.
Nice.
But if you already have an invulnerable save in close combat, for example, a witch, which has a 4+ invulnerable save in close combat, you now have a 3+ invulnerable save in close combat with your shard net to stop things from running away. So it makes them very, very durable when we get in. You can also take something called the Art of Pain, and what that does is it allows you to count the. So, Power from Pain works in a way. So, if it's turn 1, you get a certain power. If it's turn 2, you get a certain power and the previous power from turn 1, and so on and so forth. The Art of Pain allows you to act as if it's a turn later for the purposes of Power from Pain, which means you can get access to your +1 to hit in close combat or whatever it is that Drukhari get. I don't have the book in front of me, I must confess. For melee, they have quite a few melee buffs. A turn earlier with the witches, so that is an extra bonus in just being able to like improve your close combat capability with the witches.
I think I'd rather go for the invulnerable save one.
You can go for both.
Oh, you can go for both.
Would you say we could go for broke?
Okay.
Good. You could go for broke and just go like some nutty powers. But the problem is, so the Eldar obsessions or the Eldar craft ones, there are about 4. There's like at least about 24 of them or something like that. The Drukhari ones are about a page long. Let me just see if I can get it for you. Oh, I just punched a microphone because I'm a proper technician boy. Let me just see if I can get it.
You're doing great,
Sorry,
Tom, by the way. This is a good review.
That's
I'm really enjoying Tom's top picks.
I'm getting very excited, mate. You give me any Eldar to talk about, and I'll talk about it for days. So just tell me to shut up when I'm being annoying.
No, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the top picks. Are you gonna suggest us some lists at the end? Maybe we can put them up on our Twitter or our Facebook page.
I'll take the list I'm running at the North Wales Open this weekend, and I'll slap it up so you guys can stick it up there, and you guys can go with that one. The Homunculus Covens is probably where the main interest will be, because Homunculus Covens typically have been the strongest.
The powerhouse.
The go-to.
Some would say, and that isn't
would
me,
say.
I've never said it, but some would say next to broken for a long time.
We did see quite a lot of them on the Last Chance Open stream, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, a lot of Talos, a lot of grotesques.
A lot of Talos, a lot of grotesques. But they've been hit by points, right? Haven't they?
Yeah. I think the Talos, I can't remember. It must have been a while ago.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
So, the last thing before we get onto the Inari is the Homunculus Covens, and I've picked 3 out here because.
No, Jim 1080. Sorry, hold on. He's just asking you to read the book out verbatim. No, our job is analysis. We're not man who reads books. Big shout out to man who reads books.
I've been reading this out for about an hour or so, and I haven't even read out most of the book.
Yeah. So it's a big book.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite thin, but it's got a lot in it. It's lots of rules, which I love. So
apparently we missed out something called Test of Skill, which is amazing for flyers with dissies.
Is Test of Skill a thing?
It's fine, don't worry about it.
I'll have a look at it later. Mate, there's so much in here. I can't actually see it on the Cabal Obsessions, I must be honest. But never mind, whatever.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm sure I'll find it later. So, Homunculus Coven Obsessions. First one I've got listed here is called Experimental Creations, and that is +1 strength for your experimental creations.
Can I just say the names are great?
I know. They've done quite a good job on these.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when you're wounding with a poisoned weapon against a model with a lower toughness than you have strength, you get a further +1 at wound. But the reason I like this one is because people took Yurin Rakov quite a lot, and he gave you +1 strength. Well, this is another source of that +1 strength. So you can get these Talos here. Quite a high strength level, because I believe they're like strength 6 or 7 or something, like originally. And then you can buff them up like strength 9. Well, so it'd be strength 8 with Urian, I believe, because it was +1 strength for that weapon.
Yeah.
Then +1 strength for Urian, and then +1 strength for this, so it'd be strength 9.
Oof.
I did have a check. I thought you could take them. I didn't see anything that said you can't take these obsessions if you have special characters in, which makes me think, okay, well, I can take Urian for a +1 strength, and I can take this. So make of that what you will. Wounding Knights on free is lovely. You also have Hungry for Flesh, which is another access to another +1 to charge, which is great for Drukhari with your slow-moving Talos. And then you have something called Obsessive Collectors, and I thought this was hilarious. So, when you destroy an enemy model in melee, pick one model in your unit, and it returns D3 lost wounds. So you'll very quickly heal your Talos back. Unfortunately, you can't bring full models back with the Talos. You can only return wounds. Unless you're Rax. So if Rax destroy a model, you bring back D3 models instead. So, but you can't go past your starting squad size.
That's pretty good.
So
it's good rule, and I also like the imagery of it, just like this horrible, monstrous Talos killing things, but then adding the things it's killed to itself to make it even more monstrous.
Also real cinematic.
Oh yeah. I do. Just corrected me on the Rakov thing just before we go any further, so I can't take him in a custom one, which is very sad. But never mind. Yeah, that's what I said.
At least it gives him another build that isn't just that.
That is what I said. Kill cabbage. It is D3 per model you kill. So it's not just like you kill a unit. It's like, no, every model you kill is D3.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So anything like in particular that's jumping out at you guys there from the Drakari ones?
The names.
I mean, it's nice, but it means you replace Prophets of the Flesh, right?
Yeah, it does. It
Which-
does.
Yeah, see,
Like-
so the invulnerable save, was that the invulnerable save one?
Yeah.
Which
That
is,
is a +1 invulnerable save.
Yeah,
so
that's...
it's probably not as good, right?
Yeah, how can that ever be as good? That's why they're so strong. They're just like, I'm always making a 4-up save. Like, it's bonkers. Bonkers, army-wide, +1 invuln. And then orcs are just out there with their nipples hard, axe in the air, screaming as they run forward, which is why they're the best army, Nick.
They are the best. They are the best.
You. Yeah. No, I don't see how... It would have to be something very strong for me to walk away from Prophets of the Flesh, personally. And obviously, Urian Rakarth's in there as well, so he can't be taken in other detachments. So, yeah, I would just...
Yeah.
I'd say he's
Also,
the go-to.
While we're here, we've also got the chat talking about a certain obsession from the Witch Cult obsession, which
Would
I
you say
missed.
that
which
they're
is
obsessed
basically
with
chat. They are obsessed. Which one? Who's obsessed
Which
with
are
it?
they obsessed
Which
with?
are they obsessed with?
Which one are they obsessed with? They
you
are
obsessed
obsessed
with
with Test
this?
of Skill.
Yeah.
So, Test of Skill is as follows: when resolving an attack made by a model with his obsession against monster or vehicle unit, in which any models have a wounds characteristic of 10 or more, add 1 to a wound roll. So that's really, really good against vehicles and monsters in particular. So what the chat was talking about was against flyers, because what you can do is you're firing your disintegrator cannons, which are normally strength 5. Now you're going to be consistently strength 4 whenever wounding against vehicles and knights. And as you've got I believe it's 6 shots on the planes, that's quite a lot of damage coming through. So well done for chat for picking that one up. They've done some of their research as well. Good job, chat. So, last thing we have to move on to are the Inari. Now, I've got a bit of a story about this, because when I was writing my list for the North Wales Open, I was including a Yunkarn. And the Yunkarn is one of my favourite units, because I think you can do a lot with it.
It does seem like quite a fun unit to play, because it bounces around all over the board, right?
Yeah. It's also really, it's quite hard to use, and it's one of those things where I thought, how much can you get out of it if you use it perfectly? So if you use it to its max potential, how much work can it really, really do? So I wanted to take it and play it for a few months and see how much work I could get this thing to do. So I included it in my list and I sent it into the Team Wales chat. And this was after a bunch of YouTube channels were doing their reviews of the Inari units. And then someone popped up the in the chat saying, Tom, the Yunkarn's come down 57 points. You're using it at itself points cost. And I just went nuts. So the Yunkarn has now gone down from 337 points to 280, which is a substantial decrease for a unit I was already taking.
It is a substantial decrease. Like, for something that you already thought was viable, do you think that it was necessary?
So I think it was viable, but only if you could use it like really well. So what I mean by that is, if you use it anything less than perfectly, it will be crap. If you use it pretty much perfectly, it will make its points back in terms of the value you're getting out of it. But the difference now is, because it's cheaper, you can afford to take it and think, well, if I don't play it perfectly, but I play it well, it's going to be worth it for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's fine. It just means that now there's a lower risk to taking it.
So there's not as much pressure to play it perfectly.
Yeah. It's more accessible to more players.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So we've taken the young card.
Tom, are you saying the peasants can play it now?
No, I'm saying that good players can play it now.
Okay. The lords.
The lords.
The lords, the high lords.
Not quite the lords, so we've got the king, and then we've got the barons, and then we've got the knights and the peasants.
Okay.
So I'm the king, obviously.
Yeah.
And then beneath me you have the barons.
Unarguable,
And now
I would say.
Yeah, and now the barons are able to play the young Khan. See, Simon's a baron. He can play the young Khan. He's fine.
A young baron. What am I in this? Am I a stranger from another land?
Of course. No, it's just like feudal England, I guess. You know. But there you go.
Please continue.
I don't know, Simon. I haven't had a look at that one. After that one, you also have the Yvraine. Now, the Yvraine, I believe, has actually come down by 17 points, because I remember sticking her in my list and she was like 132. She's now 115. So she is the same as Jane Czar. which is quite good.
Has her rules changed at all?
I don't believe it's changed too much. I did have a quick look and a quick scan. Obviously, she's got new access to new psychic powers and some new stratagems, but that's pretty much it. She's a solid choice to include in any list because she can be stuck in like a Craft Worlds list or a Dakari list, and it won't change any of the other detachments.
Does
so
her
you can
cat
put it
have
back
any
free,
rules?
It's not a problem. Sorry, does her cat?
Yeah.
No, I took the cat off. The cat does not appear on my model of Yvrain.
Battle
I have a
cat.
fish on one.
But does it have any rules then?
Yeah. I mean, no,
Oh.
but it just kind of exists. It doesn't even do
Sad.
attacks, which is kind of sad.
Irishman, talk about the show. Continue.
Yeah, I did also want to talk. I did want to talk about the Visarch a bit because
Has he got better?
I wrote a little bit about the Visarch. Well, I wrote in my notes. The first thing I wrote was, I'm not sure how this unit's points changed because it was garbage, but now it's 80 points. So he's quite cheap. And so I wrote kind of cheap HQ, strength 5 in close combat with AP -3 and damage D3. So he's not bad in combat. He rerolls 1s to hit for Ynnari units within 6 inches as well. So he's kind of a bit like a Space Marine captain for Eldar, but by a Space Marine captain, I mean one from the starter box set. So you know how you get your first starter box set? And you've got your Space Marine captain, you've got all the Marines around it. It's like, right, this is my captain. He does all these things.
Yeah.
And then when you actually get to go into tournaments and things like that, you're like, well, actually, I don't really want to take a basic Space Marine captain. I want to take one with like a jump pack. Maybe he's got a Thunder Hammer and he does this role for me. He's not something you build an army around as a force multiplier. But Visarch is kind of fulfilling that role.
Weekend.
Yeah, well, you're playing your Iron Hands, so you can do whatever you want with that book and still win. So that's fine.
Apart from get sports votes.
That's true.
Ooh, thank you. Also, the Visarch does have a 4++ save, which I know Rob loves. So,
I do like that.
Yeah.
I do
I
think
do have
that's
a couple
important, right? Because you like
Yeah.
as much as you like. Anyway, you can just dice people off. Like if your model or army has the ability to just dice your opponent off, which is what I've always thought about the Eldar. They're just like, that's a 5 pin fun, and they just make them. You're like, well, this sucks. So yeah, I think having the ability to dice something off rather than just not is way powerful.
Yeah. So I've picked out 2 stratagems. The first one being lightning fast reactions, and that is you can now use it on the Yunkan. Pretty exciting. It's infantry, Ynnari infantry, or Ynnari units with a fly keyword, which the Yunkan has. So you can now use your lightning fast reactions on the Yunkan. I don't know if that was originally a thing because it was in a white dwarf and the pages were sticky. So we also have
Why are
deadly
they sticky?
misdirection.
Why are they
This
sticky,
is
Tom?
Eldar one.
We all know how much I love my Eldar, dude. And then the second one is deadly misdirection, which allows you for 2 CP to fall back and charge, and you use it in your movement phase. So if I've got my Yunkan stuck in combat with something, I can jump it out for free and then charge something, which is always
Even
nice.
more
I do
tricksy.
quite like.
That is tricksy.
Even more tricksy. Finally, we've got 3 more things left. We've got Warlord traits, we've got Revenant Discipline, which is the psychic powers, and we've got relics, and then we can move on to whatever, to Nikos's rundown.
The chat
So-
has actually asked, Colonel Cabbage has asked, would it be possible to go back and read the Dark Technomancers from the Covens list?
I did read it. I thought that was only an Overwatch, but I have been at work for 8 weeks.
It's okay, Tom.
And no, it's fine. No, it's all good.
You've been doing a
There's so
great
much-
job.
So this Homunculus Covens. It's also like a big paragraph. So if you look at these, you ready?
Yeah.
The Dark Technomancers is this massive paragraph.
Wow.
And I didn't want to read it because it was big. So
That's fair. I
So,
can understand
fuck
that.
you guys making me read it. So when a unit with this obsession fires Overwatch or is chosen to shoot with, you can choose to enhance any or all of the ranged weapons if that unit is equipped. If you do, until the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made with that weapon, add 1 to wound and 1 to the damage roll of that attack. So the reason I glossed over that one is because it's only in Overwatch. So you pick an enemy unit. Hold on, wait a second. When a unit with this obsession fires Overwatch, so the unit was firing Overwatch. Okay, so your unit fires Overwatch. It gets +1 to wound and +1 damage. And if you roll any 1s to wound, then the model firing it takes a mortal wound. It literally just says Overwatch.
Do not say Overwatch or
I'm really
shoots.
confused.
Does it say Overwatch or shooting?
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I can't say that word on Twitch because of TOS. But yeah, it is when it's chosen to shoot with. That's pretty good actually.
So that's
That's
interesting.
why I glossed over it because I read a part of the sentence and then I thought, yeah, shit.
Listen,
Okay.
listen, and this is really important.
Isn't it?
Every single Warhammer player of every system ever has often only read half or some of their rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of cool. I have to think about the implications of that. Thank you, chat. Good call, good call. There's so much good shit in this book. Yeah, and then you can take that as well. Oh, that's a point, though. You take that with the Venoms, or I don't know. I really like the plus 3 inches move on the first one. What do you guys think? Do you think Dark Technomancers on Venoms, or do you think the extra movement on them?
The damage one, the shooty one, I think.
They're
They're already pretty fast. They're already pretty fast.
They are fast. They are faster than almost everything in the game.
20-inch move, something like that already?
Yeah.
That's fast enough.
Yeah, it could be 23. Be good. Yeah, that could be good.
The only reason I wouldn't take that, and this is just a personal choice, is Venoms. Venoms look like a convertible car that like the jock at your high school would rock around in, and he's just got his dickhead mates on the side, just like probably throwing a milkshake at you. Yeah, that's what a Venom looks like. So that's the only reason I probably wouldn't take one. Or they look like in England. The comparison would be everyone driving around in their Corsas.
Well, let's put it this way. I have 9 Venoms. So I can just paint him a custom scheme and play both, because the entire point of a custom scheme is it doesn't fit into anything. So one week it could be Cabal, and one week it could be that. So I'll give that a test and let me check now. Should be fun. now I just need to make some friends so I have someone to play with.
So +2 to wound is obviously huge, because even wounding knights, you're going to be wounded on 4s, right? Yeah. And then wound everything else is pretty good. I think, which is why we're going to see the Salamanders book be so good. That +1 to wound naturally, then +1 to wound, which you can also add onto units, is going to, like, with the volume of shots in the AP you can get from the doctrines, you're going to see some real solid output. And then also, problematically, yellow guys.
So unless I'm reading this wrong, the second +1 to wound only applies if the unit has a lower toughness characteristic than the attacking model. So that won't apply to knights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll only be +1 to wound against knights.
Okay, fair enough.
+2 to... So we went on 2s. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're going with that one. We're moving on to the Revenant Discipline, before Colonel Cabbage rightly stepped in and pointed out I hadn't read my book properly. So, first one we've got here, Ancestor's Grace returns, still reroll 1s to hit. So you can stack that on the Yunkan, you're hitting on 2s, you're rolling 1s. And then the second one, which I really, really like. So we're going to play our last game of what warp charges this power. So, it's called Shield of You Need. And it's a 6-inch bubble where every unit within 5 inches, 6 inches of it, gets a 5+ invulnerable save. And it doesn't have to be wholly within, it just has to be within.
Which is what we just saw from the Iron Hands being so good that they had to nerf it, it was so good.
The difference is that these guys don't get to regen all the wounds.
Yeah, that's also, you did have to regen all. You could also regen all the wounds, which you can't do that. The shield you need, is that correct? Irishman was asking.
Well, you basically pronounce it like that. It's called the shield of you need. So it's
the shield you need.
Shield you need right now.
It is the shield you need.
Yeah, that's what Eldar need. More invulnerable saves.
True.
Does it actually matter? Because surely most of the things that you have invulnerable saves anyway, right?
Shining Spears do. That's about it.
What about... So you can get Wave Serpents with 5 up invuns now?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You can get Scatterbikes with 5+ invulnerables. Yep.
Okay.
Planes.
Why?
If you can keep up, though, because it's short range, right? But Eldar planes can just fly backwards and forwards and be basically in the same spot anyway, so...
Right.
I reckon that's a warp charge 7.
That's a great power. I give that 10 out of 10.
So it's warp charge 10.
No, is it?
It's warp charge 10.
No, it's warp charge 7.
I mean, actually, 7's pretty reasonable for that book.
I mean, but you do stack with the you can give that to Yvrain, and then Yvrain can use a cat, and her cat gives a +1 to cast. Apparently, that's what the cat does.
That's what the cat does.
So, yeah, apparently
some people in the chat were saying, but I think they're lying. Why does a cat make you more psychic?
It's a psychic familiar.
It doesn't, so it's fine. So you'd get a +1 to your cast there. So now you're casting it on 6s.
Okay, so. Good,
brilliant. And then finally,
just said he joined the chat and my hair is off-putting. Fucking rude.
That's
Happy birthday to us.
Knob. All right. So last section before we move on, because I think I've actually had enough of Eldar now.
I've been enjoying it. Don't feel self-conscious, Tom. You've been doing great.
No, I'm not feeling self-conscious, mate. I'm just very tired, and I've been reading out Eldar bullshit for at least an hour.
Yeah.
So, it is true.
It must be tiring pushing all that bullshit at your face.
Yeah, it must be really hard.
Yeah.
All right. So, first one I liked was
good
the Lost
practice
Shroud.
the weekend, though, Tom.
So, Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. So, the Lost Shroud is effectively. Do you like wave serpents?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, how would you like shooting at a Yunari character to halve the damage rounding up?
What?
And now, after that, how would you like the same Yunari character to have a 5+ DPR?
I don't want that.
No. This isn't
Well,
what we want. You keep saying
I mean,
it like
I'd
it's
like
something
it.
that we want.
I don't want any of those things to be true.
If you're a Yunari player and you like the sound of that, you can take the Lost Shroud. Alternatively, you could ignore the Lost Shroud and take Koragai's Locket, which gives you +1 to your attacks and movement every time you destroy a unit with the unit holding the relic.
Could you put that on a cool unit?
I mean, you can put it on a character.
Yeah, but it's already good characters.
Can the Yin Khan, can she have it?
No, it's
Oh, she a
named
name.
No, you
characters.
can't
name
get
character.
characters.
Is there any? Can you make? Oh, well, they should make it so you can make fucking Wraith Knights as named character. That'd be
Yeah.
so
I
gangster.
mean, you can take a Oh no, you can't take a Red Knight.
Avatars of
What's-
Cain's aren't characters, are they? They're elites.
They are avatars of Cain are characters, but they're named characters again.
What? Their name is
You can do
Avatar.
races, maybe? Yeah, the avatar of Cain is a unique character.
Fucking. What do they bend? Bullshit.
I mean, we can talk about the lore of the avatar of Cain at some point as well.
Just talking about
The Rafe
the
is a
last
bit slow for me. I
Airbender.
think,
Sorry.
you're talking with the Starlands, maybe, but then you're giving up the Phoenix Gem, which I really value. Alternatively, the third one that I really like is called Mirror Gaze, which is just -1 to be hit. So
That one's great.
basically makes you a Latok without being a Latok.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
good.
about it.
Oh, is that everything?
Yep, well, I say it's everything. That's everything that I have read out, and some of the things that the chat has read out, which is why it's such a valuable experience to do this with the chat, right?
Always
So,
double check.
thank you.
Bring the hive
Mr.
mind.
Yeah, the hive mind.
Always check with the chat.
Always check
does
with the chat.
occasionally things that you missed because there's a lot of good stuff in this book. There's a lot of good stuff.
It sounds outrageously good for an for 2, possibly 3 armies that already didn't need to be good
Well,
or better.
well, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not going to say it's mega OP because if I do shit with it, then I can't blame the book. But
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's pretty
you
good.
say it's rubbish then, Tom, and then you've got it. Then when you do well,
yeah, shit.
So,
it's-
first impression, Nick, Twitch chat, and Tom. Where do we think this sits? Like obviously the Marine book out, and it's caused such a storm. It's caused like everyone's upset, or everyone's super happy. Like they've definitely redefined the power level of 40k, in my opinion. So with that said, and this Eldar, I know this isn't a codex, but this is obviously a supplement, and there's going to be supplements for other armies as well. Come on, Orcs! Come on! Boy, he's got 2 wounds each now, plus 4 attacks.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Right.
but ignoring that, what do you? How far do you think? How do you think it goes?
So, first impressions, I think it's just below where Iron Hands were before the FAQ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm yet to see Iron Hands in the flesh, actually.
The flesh
But
is weak.
in
you won't see him in the
theory-
flesh.
Yeah, you won't see him in the flesh.
Flesh is weak. So, in theory, I would put them just beneath Iron Hands and Imperial Fists. And I haven't looked at Salamanders yet, but apparently they're meant to be pretty good. So, I'd put them just below that, but I'd put them pretty much above most other things.
Way above, flying in the sky above. Would you say like a plane
Yes.
that can move 180 inches?
Or a repulsor on top of a ruin, yes.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well that's pretty good. Yeah, we have been sponsored by Iron Brew. It's great. Loving the looks you're rocking today. By the way, thanks. It's our birthday. But it's good enough to. Is it good enough to give up a Latok Vect Prophets of the Flesh? Great question. That's a great question.
We don't know yet.
And then
so,
Dude Our Day says Eldar back to the
minute.
top level unless it gets FAQ'd to death, which we hope is no.
So, just to answer Alandrel's question,
Yeah.
the answer at the minute, in pure theory, is I would say no, but that doesn't mean you can't make use of the Exarch powers, and it doesn't mean you can't make use of a single detachment that you're using for a particular purpose. So, I can actually go through my list that I am using this weekend, but we did talk about it. I'm just going to get it up.
Please do.
It's cool. Well, I get it up quite quickly, mate. 1 second. I'm just waiting for my PC to speed up because it's.
Is that what your Yunari White Dwarf is for, Tom?
Yeah. Well, I can put that in the bin now because I've got a book. So I'm just waiting for my Microsoft Word to load. But just off the top of my head, I have Craft World Dab on It Wagwan, which comes with Children of Prophecy, which is the ones become twos on the cast, and Children of the Open Skies, which is +2 to advance with your flying units. I have that as a Supreme Command attachment. That has the Young Khan with Gaze of Your Need, which is Fancy Smite, Ancestor's Grace, which is reroll ones to hit, and Smite, which is Smite. You then have a Farseer Skyrunner with that one has Doom Executioner and it has the Phoenix Gem. And then I have a Warlock Skyrunner, which has the Warlord trait Seer of the Shifting Vector, which allows you to reroll a Psychic test. And it has Quicken and Restrain and Focus Will just for the banter. I then have an Airwing detachment, which is a Latok, which has 3 Crimson Hunter Exarchs with 2 Star Cannons and a Pulse Laser each. And they all have Hawkeye, which is which is ignore the modifier for moving and firing heavy weapons. And then I have an Outrider detachment, which is Sim Han. I have a Farseer Skyrunner in there. That Farseer has Guide, Fortune, and it swapped its Smite out for Ghost Walk, which is a +2 to charge.
Swapped my Spite out. I can't wait for you to tell people that. So I don't have Spite, I've changed it.
Yeah. We then have another Warlock Skyrunner, which in this case has Protect and Jinx and Fateful Divergence, which is the +1 save. Protect Jinx can work on things that aren't the same craft world, so I cast Protect Jinx from the Dabonet Wagwan detachment, and I then cast Fateful Divergence from the Sim Hand detachment because that has to be cast on a craft world unit. I have 1 unit of 8 Storm Guardians because they're using GW missions, and some of the missions say that only troops can score, so that's my 1 troops choice. We then have a squad of 9 Shining Spears with the Skilled Rider Exarch trait, which is the 3+ invulnerable save. And then I have 2 squads of 9 Wind Rider jet bikes with scatter lasers, and they don't take the modifier for moving.
Skalazers?
Skalazers.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, so how do you think it's going to perform?
That's 2 Farseers, 3 Warlocks, Flanks. So my aim at the event, I minimum kind of would be aiming for top 3. Is the minimum. Obviously, I'll try and win the event. We'll see. It's not actually a particularly bad field. Actually, it's all right as the event goes. Hopefully, it'll get a little bit stronger as the event goes on as well, because you can still get tickets for it. So yeah, it should be a good event. Aim is top 3, 4-1 minimum. I shouldn't be finishing any lower than 4-1 with that, I don't think.
Okay, well, there you go. That's some hot goss. Very excited to find out what we hear from you next week. I'm looking forward, and I like that you're putting it to test in the field so soon. So that's going to be really fun, especially as we know there's going to be a bunch of Marines. Plus, it must be nice for you to go back to your army. They're definitely, when I think Eldar, I think Tom Layton.
No, when you think Tom Layton, you think Eldar. I think it's the other way around.
There you go. Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much for doing that.
No, thanks a lot, guys. That was good fun.
What's Pride in the chat said that he reckons Necrons are coming back in a big way. It said so in the lore. Nick, how do you feel about that?
If that's true, I'm pretty excited because I'd like to get my Necrons out of the cabinet.
I mean,
and hopefully
the lore
Necron
also
Warriors
said
are okay.
Doom Sides are really good. So
Lord did say
True.
that.
They did lie to us before.
But we found that out in a rundown, which is exciting. And now we're going to do a rundown with Nick. We're going to talk, for our birthday. Yeah. We're going to do Scarab, Occult, Terminators. That's what we're going to do. So we're doing a classic rundown. We didn't get to this last week, so now we're going to do it now. Nick, what attracted you to Scarab, Occult, Terminators, and why did you want to do a rundown about them?
I was attracted to Scarab, Occult, Terminators because their name sounds cool.
Fair enough. That's the only thing, right? Do you ever just see a unit in the cabinet or on the website or somewhere and you think, I wonder what that is? That looks pretty rad. I'd like to collect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they look pretty sweet. Scarab, Occult, Terminators. Okay. So in classic style, Tom, do you know anything about these? Have you ever played against them?
Scarab, Occult, Terminators? Mm-hmm. I played against them once, actually, in Sanctuary, and I killed them with smasher guns.
Nice. They will probably do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Twitch chat if any of you have used it. Nick, what's the narrative?
The narrative of Scarab, Occult, Terminators. Mm-hmm. So originally, obviously, Thousand Suns before they were turned to dust, when Araman cast his big spell upon them to save them from torturous
the rubric
chaos mutations. Scarab Occult Terminators were the elite bodyguard for their Primarch or whoever led them, Magnus. So the just the elite of the elite, classic Space Marines.
Classic Space Marine story.
narrative.
Did it take 10,000 different
years.
entrants to become and the attrition, and then finally only one of them became the elite, and of those elite, only 10,000
of them, yeah.
and then only one of them become the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
classic.
After several planets later, you finally got a squad of 5.
2 wounds
And then they
each.
died of smash guns.
Yeah, which just some grot boys found.
Threw together in like 5 minutes.
Okay, so they're the elite of the elite.
So the elite of the elite, and then they wear the Scarab Occult Terminator armor, which is a fancy set of Terminator armor, and it has a little scarab on their
So were they?
sternum
1
plate.
second, Nikos.
Yeah,
Nikos, were they named after their armor, or was their armor named after them?
I think they were named after their armor because it has a little scarab
On the front.
on the front. Yeah,
And is that the only narrative about them? Like, they weren't like...
basically, yeah.
Okay.
Scarab Occult Terminators, originally known as the Skemet and Magnus veterans, were the veteran Space Marine battle brothers of the Thousand Sons Space Marine Legion. They served as the Primarch Magnus the Red's elite honor guard. They were made up of the best and the brightest of the Thousand Sons Legion at Astartes, and were equipped with resplendent crimson and ivory tactical dreadnought armor, with jade scarabs gleaming on their breastplates and golden crests rearing from their Etef helmets. Their visors were marred by single vertical slash that obscured their right eye of their helmets. This was in honor of the Primarch, nicknamed the Cyclops, due to the loss of his right eye from peering too deeply into the mysterious realms of the Immaterium. These fell warriors, whose reputation was well known throughout the Great Crusade in the 30th and early 31st millennia, were the dour Terminator elite of the Thousand Sons Legion, trained all of their lives to fight as a single unit. And tempered by the long wars of conquest and imperial compliance, the Scarab Occult did not fight as individuals, but almost as a single body of one mind. They formed a wall of hulking armoured bodies and flashing long-hefted axes.
Ooh.
There you go.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fun. I found out some hot goss that they used to be. The Scarab Occult consisted. During the Great Crusade, the Horus Heresy, the Scarab Occult were the elite first fellowship of the Thousand Sons Legion, and proudly fought for the side of Magnus. So they used to be called the First Fellowship. So Lord of the Ringsy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're best buddies with Magnus as well.
Best buddies with Magnus, friends, you could say.
Friends. But now they're probably not very good friends because they've turned to dust, and they're basically like mindless automatons now. They're dust, aren't they?
Rubbish.
So
Okay, so what do you guys think of the models?
Now they have no personality.
the models.
I've seen them. I've got them up
You've
here.
seen them. You got them up.
Yeah, I got them up there.
Really cool, actually. I really like the models.
Yes.
I quite like them, but I'm not a massive fan of the big helmet things that they have.
So the kind of like Egyptian
Yeah.
Shtamek things.
Yeah. Like the ornate armor's cool, and I do like all the Zinch, like little eyes in the armor plates. I do like that aesthetic. And the swords, the curves, like scimitar style swords, are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
think
like
that's
the
actually
chain
I think
hand.
that's my preferred part about it.
Yeah.
I also it's also quite nice seeing Space Marines. I know these are Terminators with staves. They've got like a wizardy type stave, and it would be quite cool. Yeah, I quite like that. Are there any Space Marine units that do carry kind of spear stave weapons? I know Vulcan Hestan has a quite cool spear. But
don't like Grey Knights. Grey Knights.
Librarians
have, like,
do sometimes?
Yeah, librarians have
halberds,
like a
yeah.
force staff, and I think Grey Knights might have some sort of like
some sort of stave.
type
Oh, the
thing.
Dreadwoods! Thanks for subscribing for 18 months.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
So, guys, I think I've put my finger on what the issue is with these.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the thighs and the hips.
Okay, interesting.
They're a
Tell us-
little skinny.
Yeah, they're pretty
Aren't they?
swole top end.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah
these are
pretty small,
Terminators.
really at the far bottom.